Yeah, what's up, man? Hope y'all have a blessed one. Back with another one right here. We got ASAP Rocky shooting trial, CA versus Rakim Mayers, day 7. Let's get into this one right here, man.
Thank you. Sir, would you start by telling the jury who you work for
I work for Los Angeles Police Department.
and how long have you been a police officer for?
A little over 9 years.
Which station were you working at in November of 2021?
Hollywood Police Station.
And on November 8th, 2021 specifically, were you working that day?
Yes.
What was your assignment that day at Hollywood Police Station?
I was working the front desk.
What does that mean when you say working the front desk?
It's a patrol assignment to the desk where people come in and you take reports and help citizens out.
Would that literally mean you're sitting at kind of the front desk in the lobby of the police station?
Correct.
And the people that you're talking about you take reports from, would those be citizens that walk in off the street to report crimes to you at the desk?
Yes.
On November 8th, 2021, did you interview a man by the name of Efron?
Yes, I did.
And how is it that you came to interview him that day?
He walked into the lobby of the police station.
When he came in, was he alone or was he with anyone else?
He said he was with a lawyer. There was a man in a suit that was with him.
It's not just that he told you he was a lawyer, you also saw this man wearing a suit.
Yes.
Okay. And if you can tell the jury broadly, what was it that Mr. Efron was there to report?
He said he was a victim of a shooting and that he was shot by this unknown celebrity gun named ASAP Rocky.
In addition to tell you that the person who had shot him was ASAP Rocky, did he tell you that person's true or legal name?
Yes, he did.
And what was that name that he gave?
Rakim Mayers.
Did Mr. Efron tell you how it was that he knew Mr. Mayers?
He said they'd known each other for about 15 years and he was part of a group called ASAP Mob.
When you say he told you that, was that Mr. Efron?
Bro, I swear you're a part of the group, nigga. You was not a part of the group. You pussy is not a part of the group.
Telling you that only Mr. Mayers was part of it, or that both of them were part of that group?
That both of them were part of it.
Before we
On the phone call, he said, I'm getting 33 mil off that nigga. He said, shit, he should've. He swear he getting 33 mil. He said, bro, you should have heard him. He was so confident. He said, I'm getting 33 mil off him. He said, so I'm straight. 33 mil, I'm gone. Just real. Man, young Telly. Nigga, fool, nigga, you was not ASAP. Nigga, you was not the mob. He wanted, they on the phone call, you heard, on the phone call, you could tell he like ASAP did not know Yams. Yams came to my house first with the weed. ASAP, really, I made ASAP. I'm the one who started everything. He one of them niggas, bro. Like, I hate them type of ones. You always got them type of niggas, bro.
get to the actual shooting that Mr. Efron told you about, did Mr. Efron tell you about anything that happened just prior to the shooting between him and the
BB?
Efron said that he heard that ASAP Rocky was talking bad about him over the cell phone, and that was the day prior to the shooting.
Did Mr. Efron tell you that he specifically
Nah,
heard
on
the
his
defendant
hand.
talking
Yeah,
about him,
yeah,
or
yeah.
that he heard about the defendant talking about him?
He heard about the defendant talking about him.
Nigga, not even 30,000. He said 30 mil. Why the fuck you think you're getting 30 mil, bro? Like, I don't get it. Yeah, what you mean? You don't think it's a gunshot graze? Nigga's not. How the fuck your hand get grazed by a bullet? Like, when your fist balled up, your shit curved. How the fuck the bullet gonna curve around your finger? What the hell? That nigga must got some air bending type shit. He must have slung that bullet like this. He must. Oh no. Nigga did not get grazed. That nigga scratched his knuckle on the ground. I don't. You know damn well you didn't get grazed by no, but first you got ricocheted. It ricocheted off the ground and hit your knuckle. And then grazed your, man. A bullet grazing a knuckle is fucking hilarious. Never seen before type shit. A nigga ASAP must be a fucking airbender.
So did he tell you that he heard words coming out of the defendant's mouth?
Objection to leading, Your Honor. Foundational. Objection to leading. Foundational.
I don't recall specifically.
Did you document it in your report?
I I did.
Would it refresh your memory?
I wish I was the jury.
I mean, oh, sorry.
I'm not sitting there.
I'm gonna distract your attention. Does that refresh your memory to what Mr. Efron told you?
Yes.
And did he tell you that he specifically heard Mr. Mayers talking bad about him, or that he heard about Mr. Mayers talking bad about him?
He said that he heard Mr. Mears was talking bad about him.
Okay. Did he give you any more information about how it was that he overheard that information?
He did not.
What did Mr. Efron tell you that he did after he heard Mr. Mayers talking bad about him?
He sent a text message to a friend that he said ASAP Rocky was being fake.
And did Mr. Efron tell you that that friend was a mutual friend of theirs, or just his own personal friend?
I believe it was a mutual friend.
Okay. Did Mr. Efron tell you where this encounter or incident first took place?
Yes, 6200 Hollywood Boulevard.
Are you at all familiar with 6200 Hollywood Boulevard?
So he went to go pick the bullets up from the scene, went to the police station, and the police asked him to take him back to the scene. So you should have just called the police. When you filmed the bullets, you should have called the police and left the bullets right there, nigga. Like, I don't get this. Like, if they, I don't, like, I don't know, man. It's crazy.
I drove by there to major intersection area.
Is 6200 Hollywood Boulevard, is that a very large building in Hollywood?
Yes.
Takes up almost an entire city block, correct?
Correct.
Did Mr. Efron narrow down for you where at that building their initial encounter took place?
They said it was at the driveway.
Any more detail about what the driveway either led into?
I believe it was a parking garage.
Okay. Did Mr. Efron tell you when that meeting at the parking lot took place in reference to when the phone call was that he overheard where Mr. Mayers was talking bad about him?
Yes, the following day on November 6th at 10 p.m. is when they met in the driveway.
So, if I understand what you're saying correctly, Mr. Efron said he overheard this phone call, and the very next day is when the driveway incident took place?
Yes.
All right. Did he give you any specific date, day, or time when that meeting at the parking lot took place?
Yes, 10 p.m.
Do you remember the date?
November 6th.
And do you remember what day of the week that was?
I don't.
Would you have documented it in your report?
I don't believe the specific day is.
Okay. But November 6th of 2021?
Yes.
What did Mr. Efron tell you when he occurred, when he first got to that parking garage?
So when he got there, he saw ASAP Rocky. He saw two mutual friends of his and ASAP Rocky. One he said his name was ASAP Ills, and the one I believe goes by the name of 12E.
Did he tell you that those two men, Ills and 12E, were with Mr. Mayers?
Yes.
Okay. And then what was the next thing that he told you happened?
He said from about 5 to 10 feet away, ASAP Rocky pulled out a black handgun from his waistband and told him, "What's up now, pussy?"
Okay. What did he tell you happened immediately after that?
He then pointed the handgun at Efron and said, "I will kill you right now," approximately 2 to 3 times.
And then what did he tell you happened after that?
I forgot.
ASAP Ills and 12B tried to intervene and de-escalate the situation, and they all walked over together to the area of Selma and Vista Del Mar.
No, nigga. They walked away and he followed them, man. Like, chill.
Did he tell you who, if anyone, was the first person to walk away?
They were in front of him when they were walking to that location.
When you say they, who are you talking about?
ASAP Rocky, ASAP Ills, and 12B.
All right. And what did Mr. Efron tell you he did after that first altercation at the parking garage?
Once they got to the area of Selma and Vista Del Mar, he said ASAP Rocky turned around and fired approximately 3 to 4 shots at Efron.
Okay. Before we get there, I want to go back to the parking garage really quickly.
Nah, don't try to
Mr.
fix
Efron
him.
tell you-
Don't try to fix his story. No. You trying to help him fix his story and shit. But I don't get this shit, man.
At any point that the defendant specifically pointed the handgun at him,
Yes.
he told you, or yes, that he did? What did he tell you with regard to that?
After he said, "What's up, pussy?" he pointed the handgun, and he stated, "I will kill you right now."
Okay. That was when you. Okay. Thank you.
He all over the place, dude.
Where again did he tell you that the rounds were fired?
At the area of Selma and Vista Del Mar,
And how many shots did he tell you he believed were fired?
approximately 3 to 4.
Did he tell you whether he was struck by any of the gunfire?
Yes, he said he was struck in his left hand knuckles area.
When he walked into the police station, you had a chance to observe him, obviously, correct?
Yes,
Could you see any injury to his left hand knuckle area?
I did see an injury to his hand knuckles.
Okay. I'm going to show you what I previously marked as People 17. You recognize it, see there?
Yes,
And does that appear consistent with the injuries that you saw to Mr. Efron?
It does.
Look at that nigga knuckle, bro. Like, that is insane. Like, that is insane.
That was to which of his hands?
his left hand.
Okay. After the gunshots were fired, what did Mr. Efron tell you happened next?
He said he ran off one direction, and A$AP Rocky and others ran off another direction.
Where did Mr. Efron tell you that he went?
Eventually, he made his way back to his hotel, the Lowe's Hotel in Hollywood.
Okay. What, if anything, did he tell you did after he got to his hotel?
After he got to the hotel, he said approximately an hour later, he came back to the scene of Selma and Vista Del Mar, and he said he collected 2 casings off the ground.
Did he tell you at all about documenting where he observed those 2 cartridge casings?
Yeah, he provided a photo of the casings on the street.
Did he actually show you a photo?
Yes.
Okay. You said Mr. Efron told you this happened on November 6th, but he was reporting it to you on November 8th, correct?
Yes.
Did you ask him specifically why he waited to 2 days to report this to you?
He said he wanted to have a lawyer with him.
Did you ask what state he was living in at the time you were talking to him?
I don't recall.
Direct you to the top cover page of your report if that assists you in refreshing your recollection.
Yes.
What state did he say he was living?
New York?
And did you ask him specifically why he was in Los Angeles at the time?
I don't recall.
Okay. You said that Mr. Efron, at the time he walked into the police station on November 8th, he had 2 fired cartridge casings, correct?
Yes, he did.
Can you describe that in more detail for the jury?
It was 2 steel casings. It said 9mm Luger on each of them.
How did he have it?
It was in a black plastic bag.
Okay. And did he physically give them to you?
He gave me the plastic bag, and I took them out of the plastic bag.
What did you do with them after you received them?
It was booked as evidence, so I put them inside of an evidence envelope, and then I sealed it and wrote the information on the envelope.
When you say you booked it as evidence, what is that? Can you just describe for the jury what exactly that means?
So it gets sealed up. I write my name on the envelope. I write the contents inside of the envelope. And then it gets assigned a DR number, which is specific to this case. And then it goes inside of for Hollywood Police Station, it goes inside of a closet where we store all the evidence.
Did you seal it before you stored it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to mark my next exhibit, Your Honor, 32. If it can just be labeled as envelope and its contents.
Yes.
And I'm going to write 32 on the front and the bottom right-hand corner on this envelope. I'm going to show you first the envelope and ask if you recognize what we see here.
Yes.
And what is this?
This is the envelope for where I sealed the casings. That's the information I wrote on it.
Okay, and this would actually be the envelope you filled out that night, correct?
Correct.
It has your name on it, correct?
Yes.
And your badge for serial number?
Yes.
Okay. You said the date is on there, correct?
Correct.
And a description of the contents, correct?
Yes.
You also mentioned this number at the top right that's labeled DR number.
Yes.
Is that number that we see there, 2106-18784?
It is.
Is that number unique within LAPD to this case specifically?
Yes, specifically just this case.
So there will be no other case in LAPD that also utilizes that?
Correct.
All right. Now, in addition to that number, the DR number that unique to this case, do you also assign a separate number to the items that you are receiving?
They don't even feel like they talking fast.
Like an item?
But they talking
I
fast.
don't understand.
Sure. When you book something into evidence, let's take more generally. In any case, would you agree with me that you or other people working on the case may, over the course of the case, book multiple items under one case number or DR, correct?
Correct.
So let's say on the first day you collect one item and you book it, and on the second day you collect another item and you book that second item. Would the first item that you collect be booked as item number 1 under that DR number?
Yes, it would.
And then on the next day when you collect another item,
My
would that be
taste
booked as item
buds,
number 2 under this same DR number?
Yes.
Okay. When you did that in this case, what number did you assign to the casings that Mr. Efron provided to you?
Item number 1.
So both casings would be item number 1, correct?
Yes.
Now, once you go through that whole process that you talked about, receiving the item, packaging it, putting it in the envelope, sealing it, where does it go?
It goes in our evidence closet, and then the next day the evidence employee takes it and puts it in the evidence room.
Does it go to something within LAPD called the property division?
Yes.
And is it held there until it's needed any time in the future?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to open the envelope, if you would. Do you have a knife or any way to open it?
No.
Sorry.
Let's pull it open.
Use a knife. I want to do it cleanly.
Boy, you don't handle that knife right. Yeah, I almost cut you, man. I almost cut you, man.
You just want to talk to
God damn. Little weak ass. Cut it open.
I'm going to take out, would you agree with me that inside of the larger
He
envelope,
just wanted to touch him.
there's a smaller envelope?
Yes.
Okay. And it has a number 1 on it, correct?
Correct.
And it has the same unique DR number on it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Officer Anderson, I'll put them on the Elmo here. Now, do these appear similar to the cartridge cases that you received that night?
Yes, they do.
Do you specifically remember exactly the cartridge cases that were given to you?
Yes,
You do. And are these those same exact cartridge cases?
they are.
Okay.
Really a food.
Are you familiar with what's called a head stamp on a cartridge case?
I'm not.
You're not. Are you familiar with kind of the words that are written on the back of the cartridge case?
Yes.
And in this case, what caliber of ammunition would these cartridge cases be?
9mm.
9mm Luger?
Yes.
Blue.
So these are the same cartridge casings that Mr. Efron brought to you that you packaged up and booked into property division, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I got nothing else, Your Honor. I'm gonna, just for the record, I'm gonna put them back in the smaller envelope, and then I'm gonna put the smaller envelope back into the larger.
All right. Who wants to, question officer? Take your office. All right. See you later.
Really needed to ask for. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Correct.
Now, as a law enforcement officer, when you're interviewing someone making a complaint, you want to make sure your report is as complete and accurate as possible, right?
Yes.
And that's because you understand that the report may be relied upon in
Hold on. This shit low. Fuck. My bad. Ooh, my bad.
the future hearing from the trial.
Yes.
Now, on November 8th, 2021, you said you were working at the front desk at the Hollywood Police Station.
Yes.
And at 7:20 that day, Terrell Efron came into the station and made a complaint to you about an alleged shooting, right?
Yes.
And obviously that's a serious complaint, right?
Correct.
So it's important for you to be as careful in taking down this information as possible, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you memorialized that information in a written report, correct?
Yes.
In fact, that report was reviewed and approved by your supervisor, Officer Deneen, correct?
Correct.
Now, as detailed in your report, Mr. Efron told you about an incident, I think you just described it, that occurred on November 6, 2021 involving Mr. Mayers and two other people he identified as ASAP Ills and 12, right?
Yes.
Okay. And specifically, I think you testified to this, Mr. Efron told you that as he was approached by Mr. Mayers pulled out a gun from 5 to 10 feet away. Is that what he told you?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, the first page of your investigative report has a pre-printed box, which is called weapon, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's where you identify any weapon that a complainant reports to you, correct?
Correct.
Right. And you made a note in that report of a gun, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if a knife were involved in an incident, that's an important fact you would know, right?
Yes.
Right. And you didn't make any note of a knife in this case, either in that pre-printed box or in the narrative portion of your reports, correct?
Correct.
And that's obviously because Mr. Efron, when reporting to you what happened, didn't tell you that 12 displayed a knife to him during the incident, right?
He did not.
Right. In fact, Mr. Efron made no mention of a knife being involved in this incident, correct?
Correct.
To the contrary, rather than displaying a knife, Mr. Efron told you that 12 actually attempted to de-escalate the situation. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. And he told you that ASAP Ills also tried to de-escalate the situation, correct?
Yes.
Now, during your interview with Mr. Efron, he also told you that he returned to the scene of the incident approximately an hour later.
Yes.
Is that right? And he gave you those 2 shell casings that he claimed to recover from the scene, the ones we just saw, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Sustained is the word claim.
Okay. He gave you the 2 shell casings that he told you he recovered from the scene, right?
Yes.
Just so it's clear, Mr. Efron told you he recovered those shell casings about an hour after the incident on November 6th, 2021, right?
Yes.
Okay. And he didn't give them to you until 2 days later, November 8th, 2021, right?
Yes.
Now, after you received the shell casings from Mr. Efron, you requested that they be examined for latent prints.
I did.
And obviously, as an experienced law enforcement officer, you wouldn't have requested an examination that you knew would be useless. Am I correct?
Correct.
Right. So you requested that examination for latent prints.
No, he like
because
the
you understood
Fago.
that fingerprints can be those
Pineapple
shell casings,
Fago.
right?
Yes.
Right. Now, when speaking with Mr. Efron on November 8th, 2021, he told you that he had a small scrape on his left hand from the incident, right?
Yes.
In fact, you saw a picture of it on the screen? Right?
Yes.
Okay. And after him telling you about that small scrape and you seeing it, you clearly didn't see a need to get him an ambulance or some kind of medical treatment, right?
Right.
In fact, at that time, on November 8th, 2021, you discussed with Mr. Efron if any medical treatment, what if any medical treatment he already received for that small scrape. You asked him about that, right?
Yes.
And what he told you was, I just treated it myself on a daily purpose, right?
Correct.
Now, you were asked by Mr. Presnick about the reported statements that Mr. Efron made to you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And to be clear, when Mr. Efron made all of his statements to you, he had a civil lawyer standing next to him, right?
Yes.
Now, you said you asked Mr. Efron why he waited 2 days to report the incident, and he told you it's because he wanted to have a lawyer present with him, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Efron tell you that another reason he waited to report the incident is because he was attempting to contact Mr. Mayer's quote-unquote people, including his manager, Mr. Mayer's manager, trying to get money before he even contacted a lawyer. Did he tell you that?
No.
In fact, Mr. Efron never told you that before coming to see you, meaning before he made his report to the police, and he had already texted a screenshot of the scrape fingers to Mr. Mayer's manager with messages saying that he, Mr. Efron, was getting rich. He never told you that, right?
No.
I'm asking
Nah, bro, really thought he was getting $33 million. Like $33 million, like big bucks. Like he thought he was really getting that.
And the answer was he never conveyed that to you, right?
Correct.
Right. In fact, Mr. Efron also did not tell you that before coming to the police, he already sent a text message to his own business associate saying, quote, I want to get this N-word's money, referring to Mr. Mayers. He never told you that either, right?
Right.
And Mr. Efron also did not tell you that before making his report to the police, before he came to you, Mr. Mayers texted him that Mr. Efron was trying to extort him, that Mr. Efron should stop calling Mr. Mayer's manager, and that Mr. Efron should call the police. He never told you any of that, did he?
He did not.
Thank you very much. I don't have anything else.
Thanks for something. How long did you estimate your interview of Mr. Efron was?
Approximately maybe 20 minutes.
And included in that 20 minutes, you've got some of that time of you actually writing down or documenting things on your report?
Yes.
Is your report a verbatim transcript of what Mr. Efron told you or a summary?
A summary.
The gun that Mr. Efron reported was pointed at him. Did he tell you what kind of gun it was? Meaning, was it a revolver or semi-automatic?
He just said black handgun.
Okay. Did you document something in your report that it was a specific type of gun?
I'd have to review the report.
What did he tell you?
It was a semi-automatic.
Okay. You were asked about latent fingerprints. How many times are you aware of latent fingerprints being lifted off of cartridge cases?
I wouldn't know the answer. Many times.
I mean, have you ever received a latent print report documenting fingerprints on fire cartridge cases yourself personally?
No.
I have nothing.
All right, thank you, officer.
Thank you.
Next witness.
My next witness is Detective Flores.
I got a chopper and I know how to use it.
Sir, would you tell the jury what your occupation and assignment are?
Yes, I'm a detective of the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm assigned to a robbery homicide division.
Were you also in that assignment on in November of 2021?
Yes, I was.
How long have you been a police officer for?
Just over 29 years now.
Were you one of the assigned detectives on this case?
Yes, I was.
Who were your partners on this case?
I was assigned along with Detective Carlos Camacho and Detective Donetta Bennett.
And were you and your partners assigned this case on November 9th of 2021?
Yes.
After you were assigned to this case, did you go to the location where the crime occurred, and specifically to Vista Del Mar and Selma Avenue in the city and county of Los Angeles?
Yes.
What was your primary focus in returning to that location?
The primary focus was to canvass the area for cameras, witnesses, any evidence related to the incident that was recorded.
And when you say cameras, would that be like surveillance video footage?
Yes, I mean anything private, public, anything that would have captured events from that night.
Okay, I'm going to show you what I marked as one. Do you recognize the area that's depicted here?
Yes.
Okay. I can turn on the little screen for you too, if that makes it easier. No, you have to back this.
Okay. When you went back to that location, were you able to observe surveillance camera footage from any locations in that area? Yes.
Would you point out any of those locations on the map for the jury?
Yes. So there was a large area that was canvassed. Argyle here would be on the west side, south side, Selma, Vista Del Mar, which is the north-south street, which kind of dodges right, becomes east-west, and exits out to El Centro, was also canvassed, along with, I believe, Hollywood Boulevard as well. So roughly the entire kind of block with the side street of Vista Del Mar in between.
Okay, we've heard about this location, 6200 Hollywood Boulevard. Can you point out for the jury where that location is on this map or graphic?
Yes, 6200 is pretty much the entire, almost encompasses the whole block. It's a very large property, which encompasses from Hollywood down to Selma, down to Vista Del Mar and El Centro on the east.
Okay. Would there be, you said all the way down to Selma, but would these buildings right at the northeast corner of Argyle and Selma, those would be separate from 6200?
Correct. Kind of cuts off right around the bend here, Vista Del Mar down.
Got it, okay. And we also heard reference in Mr. Efron's testimony to the W Hotel. Can you point out for the jury where the W Hotel would be?
Yes, the W would be here on the west side of Argyle. There's a large kind of lobby entrance, parking entrance here. I believe this is it here. Roughly mid-block between Hollywood and Selma on the west side of the street.
So right where it says Argyle Avenue, you were pointing just to the left of that, those kind of two white lines. Would that be the driveway that would drive into sort of the valet area of the W Hotel?
Correct, that's my rough estimate, yes.
Okay. The locations where you observed surveillance video from, can you point out those locations?
Yes. So the first point was the parking structure off Argyle, which is roughly just here on Argyle on the east side of the street, just north of Selma. The parking area where the first incident took place. As we continued the path south and then east, as we began northbound on Vista Del Mar, there were cameras here at, I believe it's 1616 Vista Del Mar, which is a kind of privately owned building. And then beyond that, there were cameras attached to 6200 Hollywood Boulevard. In the windows, roughly kind of on the bend here, on the exterior of the base floor of 6200, kind of the rear end. As the street opened back up to North El Centro, there was an additional camera here at the, it's roughly described as a kind of a loading dock to the building, which is on El Centro, just north of Vista Del Mar.
Okay, Your Honor, if I may mark my next exhibit, Equals 33. It's a single-page document with a photograph of that area of Vista Del Mar and Selma with annotations and markings on it. All right, Detective, I'm showing you what I marked as Equals 33. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes.
And you see a number of red boxes, the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Correct.
Are those each locations where camera footage was retrieved from?
Yes.
Let's start with 1. Would that be the parking structure that you talked about?
Yes.
All right, so just to the left of the 1, you see the green triangle with the green arrow in it.
Yes, I do.
Can you describe for the jury what would be represented roughly by that green triangle and arrow?
That would be roughly the angle of the camera, which was under the parking structure, kind of awning at the entrance. And the camera faces northbound towards Hollywood Boulevard, which would be the first major street up.
Okay. And you observed video from that location, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to show you People's 14.
This intersection is on the bottom end of the page. So northbound view of the camera, looking south.
Okay. And when you were pointing out where the camera was, you were kind of pointing underneath the, kind of to the roof area underneath where that parking lot driveway is, correct?
That's right.
And I think you were specifically closer to where, I think it says restricted entry.
Yes, roughly there. There.
Okay. After you observed the video at that location, were you able to obtain a copy of it?
Yes, after canvassing the area, we were able to get copies of different videos from different areas at different times. But yes, we did end up getting a copy of video from this specific camera.
In order to get that specific video, was there anything?
We listen, but we don't judge.
Search warrant authored to get copies of video from specifically this camera and the adjoining camera on the El Centro side of the loading dock.
That is the number 1 and the number 4 on People's 33?
Correct.
Okay. I want to say it was a parking lot first, though. I'm going to pull up the video footage from that location. Okay. Now, on People's Exhibit 15 here, there's 2 files in a folder labeled 6200 Hollywood Boulevard, WNPM. And I'm specifically pulling up the one that says commercial parking entrance. Now, one second. Sorry, it's really hard to read from here. Where I have it paused right now is at 9 minutes and 42 seconds in this video. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
The entire amount of video that you collected from there, was it 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 6 seconds long?
Yes.
And was there a specific time that you started that specific time from when the video started that you collected?
I believe we're looking at roughly around the time of the incident,
Would it have been around 10 o'clock?
roughly 10 o'clock.
Okay. And the video that we're seeing here, would this be the raw video footage that you received from that location?
Yes.
All right, we'll just play it forward a few seconds. Too far. Detective, can you read the time that it's paused there at?
Yes, it shows 10:15, 10 minutes, 15 seconds.
Okay. I'm gonna mark my next exhibit, Your Honor. 34.
Yes.
It's a one-page document that has 3 still images from this parking lot video. They're individually labeled A, B, and C on the page. I don't know why it's coming out in green, but. It's a kind of odd color up there, where those 3 still images are captured from.
Yes,
And what would that be?
that's from the camera that was recovered at the parking structure.
Now, would you tell the jurors just a little bit about your background, training, and experience when it comes to firearms?
Well, I wouldn't consider myself an expert, but I've carried firearms as long as I've been a police officer. Prior to, I've attended training days, qualified their marksmanship, safety skills with firearms. So I have a good basic understanding through my job and through some extracurricular training days.
Now, in the course of your 29 years of experience, have you had an opportunity to use both semi-automatic pistols and revolvers?
Yes, I carry both.
Are you generally familiar with the difference between those 2 types of firearms?
Yes.
And could you describe that for the jury?
Yes, a revolver is kind of the older technology of the firearm, the original firearm. It's a wheel gun. It's a wheel where the gun is manually loaded with the ammunition, and after you fire, you have to manually unload it. Meaning, there's a lot more handling of the weapon. When you shoot it, it doesn't eject casings like a semi-automatic handgun. So it's also generally a lower capacity weapon, meaning most revolvers are limited to 5 or 6 rounds of capacity. A semi-automatic is more of a modern era weapon. It's a magazine or cartridge type weapon, which can hold a large capacity of rounds. Anything from a small semi-automatic can hold 5, 6 rounds up to 17, 18 rounds, depending on the size of the semi-automatic handgun. When you fire that gun, the difference is casings eject. Anytime you fire it, the casing will eject from the handgun to clear the way for the next round. Versus a revolver, when it fires, the wheel just spins to the next available chamber. So.
A big difference in what you can see in the 2 guns is that wheel that you're describing on the revolver, right?
Yes, the revolver's fairly distinct.
And when you watch this video or even observing the still images on the screen up there, based upon your background, training, and experience in law enforcement and handling both semi-automatics and revolvers, what is your opinion with regard to what type of gun that is, specifically between a revolver or a semi-automatic pistol?
No doubt, semi-automatic.
Okay. We'll move on to the next location. So equals 33, and focus in on location number 2. I believe you already said in your testimony that that location was 1616 Vista Del Mar Avenue, correct?
Correct.
And you said it was a private building, privately owned building, correct?
That was my understanding, yes.
Okay. When you observed video from that location, were there a number of cameras attached to the location?
Yes.
Now, I have People's 33 up here, which I think will make it easier for you to explain, but if you would, could you explain generally how those cameras were, what direction those cameras were facing that were attached to that one building?
Yes. Well, basically, if you're looking at the green cones, they represent a camera that was facing in that specific direction. So the property kind of sits on the corner of the bend that goes from Vista Del Mar northbound to Vista Del Mar eastbound. So the cameras face roughly, are placed around the building. They stay different angles outwards towards the street.
Okay, so the bottommost one on the building label number 2, that one, that would have been facing towards the intersection of Vista Del Mar and Selma, correct?
Correct.
And that's the grainy surveillance video that we watched a number of times, correct?
Correct.
The very next one to the left of that, it looks like it's facing towards, that one, the 6200 Hollywood building. What area would that have captured?
That's roughly as the street begins to turn, that's roughly the front of the building. Would roughly cover kind of the pedestrian entrance to the building.
Okay. And then going up to the northmost part of the building, there's 2 additional cameras there, correct?
Correct.
Do those cameras kind of overlap in their coverage?
Yes, roughly they do.
All right. Go back to People's 15, the car drive. there's a separate folder labeled 1616 Vista Del Mar. Detective, you see there's two files in that folder, correct?
Correct.
They both start with the word magic.
Yes.
Okay. And the first one ends in the number 3000. I'm going to open up that file. And I'm going to make this bigger. Now, do you recognize what you see here?
Yes.
Can you describe this at all for the jurors?
Yes. Roughly, this is camera number 1 on the would be the south side of the building at 1616.
Hold on one second. So before you number the cameras, they're actually labeled in the top left-hand corner, correct?
Correct.
So that the top leftmost corner would be camera 1, and there's no image displayed, correct?
Correct.
And then camera number 2 is the next one over in the top left, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to skip forward. Is this how the video came to you when you first viewed it?
Yes.
I'm going to jump over here. It's going to be hard for me to see up there, so I'm going to pull it over and then I'll bring it back to you. Right now I have it paused at 22:16:55. Okay, so we have it paused here. There's 4 cameras that are displayed, correct?
Correct.
And each one of these represent cameras that we just talked about in that exhibit equals 33.
Yes.
And if you double click on the cameras, it makes them individual screens, correct?
Yes.
All right, this would be that one that faces towards Vista Del Mar and Selma?
Correct.
Camera 3 would be that next camera to the left, which covers, you said, the front entrance of the building, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to jump over to camera, is that 5? I believe it's 5.
Correct.
All right, that area that we see in the top left of this camera, is that curve on Vista Del Mar that you were talking about?
Yes, that camera will be facing roughly west and south.
Towards the curve.
Correct.
And then the last one, camera 4. Which direction would that camera be facing?
That will be facing eastbound towards the central.
Got it. Okay. And if you play these videos on this player, would you agree that the 4 cameras that are displayed there play simultaneously?
Yes.
So they're each playing what they captured at that moment, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to start with camera 2. And we'll play it. Pause it. You could read the time at the bottom. I don't know if switch screens, but the timestamp at the bottom left here.
It's 22:17:25.
Okay. All right. I'm going to jump over to camera 3, and I'll play at this portion. And pause it. The time.
22:17:29.
And so would that have shown the same person that we saw running away in camera 2 as they're crossing in front of the building?
Yes, it's in sequence.
Okay. We'll jump over to number 5 that faces the curve. I might have passed already. I'll keep playing from here. Is it moving?
It's not playing.
It's not playing. Okay. Now, would that be the same person that we saw from the last 2 cameras as well?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll jump to camera number 4. Is that individual now towards the top of the screen here?
Yes.
And pausing it, can you give us the time?
22:17:40.
Would that be when the man in the black sweatshirt beats up the person who's wearing the red jacket?
Yes.
Okay. go back in time a little bit. You would agree that the sequence of these plays were following the man in the black sweatshirt, correct?
Correct.
All right. Go back. I'm going to ask you to follow the other individuals. Before I hit play, would you give us the timestamp again?
22/16/57.
All right. So we've gone back in time now. Would you agree?
Yes.
And I will hit play from here. So after the man in the black sweatshirt runs away, what does the man in the red jacket do?
He pauses initially, then he follows the man in the black sweatshirt.
And the other two individuals, you see one of them walking in the same direction that those man in the black and man in the red jacket went?
Yes.
Okay. Is he walking towards what would be El Centro?
Yes, he's walking northbound Vista Del Mar, which turns to El Centro.
Can we look at number 3? He's wearing a blue jacket, fair to say?
Yes.
Now to camera 5. And then lastly, camera 4. Would you agree he walks up Vista Del Mar, makes that turn, and then walks towards El Centro?
Correct.
Okay. Do you recall the time, the amount of video that you collected from that location, the time specifically?
I do not. I believe there's two clips, different portions for 16/16. Vista Del Mar.
1 second then.
Okay, Your Honor, we have written stipulations that will be entered. Do you want me to mark them as
Yes.
entered?
Yes.
So let's mark them as 35.
Sure. Give a little short address with the stipulation.
You already did that, didn't I?
You did.
You did. I've already did it. Okay. It's an agreement. It's just an agreement between both sides regarding the fact. Exactly.
And your further would be that stipulation would mean that once it's entered, that fact is proven. And
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
does not need an extermination.
Okay. I'm going to put it up and I'll read it into the record. I'm going to start with stipulation number 1. The parties stipulate as follows. Stipulation number 1, surveillance video from 1616 Vista Del Mar Avenue. On November 9th, 2021, Detective Frank Flores and Carlos Camacho of the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, downloaded surveillance video from the privately owned business at 1616 Vista Del Mar Avenue in Hollywood. The video was originally recorded between 10:10 p.m. to p.m. and 11 p.m. to 11:20 p.m. on November 6, 2021. The surveillance video contained in People's Exhibit 15 is a true and correct copy of that video. The system video date and timestamp are accurate to actual time. So, Detective, you were saying to collect video between 2 different times, correct?
Correct.
So from 10:10 to 10:30, that would be a portion of which was just played as we went through the video, correct?
Yes.
Then the next portion that you collected started a half an hour later.
Correct.
So, did you personally watch any of the video between 10:30 p.m. and 11 p.m.?
I believe we screened it through that time period while we were present.
And what did that portion collect or capture, if you recall?
From my recollection, it didn't capture anything that we saw pertinent to the case.
Would it have captured the police or the patrol officer's response?
Yes, it would.
Okay. Did you collect the video between 10:30 p.m. to 11 p.m.?
I'm sorry?
Did you collect that video though from 10:30 to 11 p.m.?
No.
And why did you collect that video?
Again, we were focused on the time periods where the victim had indicated the incident occurred and he had returned.
So you were mainly focused on collecting video of the actual shooting incident, correct?
Correct.
Now, we heard through the stipulation, and I believe through your testimony, that you also collected video from 11 to 11:20, correct?
That's correct.
So why is it that you collected video from that portion of the video?
Again, there was indication that the victim said he had returned to recover evidence from the scene, so that's what we were trying to verify.
Had you spoken to Mr. Efron at that point?
Yes, I believe we had spoken to Mr. Efron before we went out to Kansas initially.
And he told you that he went back to collect it, correct?
Correct.
When he told you he went back to collect it, when did he tell you he went back?
He said roughly within an hour.
Okay, I'm going to go to that second video. So it's from the same system, correct?
Correct.
All right. Go down to the second one. I know we're getting close to the new grammar, if I could just cover this one topic and then we can break. Shoot up. Okay. I have this second video paused at 23:09:44. Would be 11:09:44 p.m. Correct?
Correct.
All right. And there's only video collected from camera 2 at this portion, correct?
Correct.
I will play it forward from here. Do you see an individual with kind of a light colored top and a dark colored bottom or pants walking around that area?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's get that cursor on it. Pause it. A few questions for you. Can you read us the timestamps when no display?
That's roughly 23:11:39.
Okay. Did you hear Mr. Efron's testimony in this case that he took a photograph just before he collected the cartridge casing, and the photograph was timestamped at 11:45 p.m.?
Yes, I did.
Did you have that precise time or piece of information about Mr. Efron returning to the scene when you collected this video?
No, not the exact time. Roughly, we had an hour.
And you had just a rough estimate for Mr. Efron, correct?
That's correct.
Not a precise.
We have to take a break now.
I have 2 questions on this. If you want to finish, sorry, Your Honor. Did Mr. Efron tell you that when he returned to the scene to collect those cartridge casings that he was also with his girlfriend, or essentially with another person?
Yes, another person had gone along with it.
In the portion of the video that you just watched, did you see another person with that individual in the light top?
No.
Is the person in that portion of the video wearing clothing which was consistent with the clothing that Mr. Efron was wearing at the time of the shooting?
No.
As you sit here right now, do you believe that still believe that the person depicted in that video is Mr. Efron?
Objection, Your Honor.
Well,
Speculation. It calls for speculation.
when you collected that video, did you initially believe that that was Mr. Efron?
Yes, we did.
Do you still believe that today?
Objection, Your Honor. His opinion as to whether it is or isn't Mr. Efron is
No speaking objections.
Sorry, but I was giving the reason.
Can I give an offer of proof, Your Honor?
Ask the question again.
Yes. You said when you collected the video, you thought that was Mr. Efron. The question is, as you sit here now, having more information, do you still believe that?
I don't.
Just one thing, objection.
Can you say objection sustained? Yes.
And answer be stricken, please.
I did. Yes, the answer is stricken. We'll break till 1:30, folks. Keep the outside courtroom doors and respect the case, and no, we don't. So,
We put on record before we come to that.
yeah, thank you.
My offer of proof is that it was noted to explain their further investigative steps, why they collected the video they did and didn't. That was why I was.
So it's not offered to prove that the person in the video is Relly. It's being offered to prove,
His
to
belief.
show why Detective Flores did what he did.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Well, the videos they collected before he came to the initial conclusion that it was relevant. So they didn't go collect the videos because he realized it wasn't relevant. The videos they collected were all collected from the outset, everyone. And after that, at the preliminary hearing, for example, he testified, yes, that's relevant. I believe that's relevant. Based on what he told me, that's relevant. So what was just proper, as an offer of proof, Your Honor, was that I should be able to ask him that question to explain their further investigative steps.
You should ask him what question? You should be able to ask him what question?
No. They just said, they shouldn't be asking that
shouldn't.
question because they just said to you, they proffered to you that the reason they should ask him that question, should be able to ask him that question, is because it explains their further investigative steps, i.e., go get the videos. The videos were gotten early. They got no additional videos after they came to a conclusion initially that lasted up until the preliminary hearing at the very least, that was relevant. So they didn't take any additional further steps once they changed their opinion or their mind. They changed their mind based on his testimony, obviously. But in 2023, under oath, this detective, who I think is a terrific detective and a nice guy, said under oath that yes, in my opinion, that's relevant. They didn't take any additional investigative steps after that. So it doesn't explain investigative steps. You made a ruling, Your Honor. What? Your ruling for what?
No. You're saying he didn't take any additional
There
investigation.
was nothing else. There was no videos to collect. You just said,
What's the next thing he did? After,
No, he's exactly making the point that I want to make, which is they did believe that was Terrell up until very recently.
okay, so
they
what's
couldn't
the,
have gone back to go.
so what did Detective Flores then do? Based on his belief that was relevant.
But he stopped collecting video at that point. He thought, okay, we have him here. That's him on the video. We don't need any more video past this. Fast forward to piecing together other information, details from timestamps, that he now knows, oh, we didn't collect enough video. We should have collected more because that could have captured him.
I've heard from both of you. Here's the rule. It's the offer of proof is fair game. You can ask the question, Mr. Tacopina, you can follow it up with. Are you going to cross-examine him, or is Mr. Seawood? Say again?
yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, I'm the person.
Oh, you are. All right,
Yes.
you can follow it up.
Thanks.
All right, Detective.
Can I talk to them for 1 second?
Your Honor, I had asked the court, which you
Give me a second.
not on counsel, that I asked the court for about 15 or 20 minutes between the direct and cross 12.
Fine.
I'm just letting you, Judge, I'm just letting you guys know.
It's fine.
I don't think we're getting to 12 today. Okay, because we have, we go to 4 minutes, right? I have at least an hour.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, that's not based on where we are now.
All right. So after the detective is the firearms person?
Yes, you can be ready tomorrow.
Is he, and he's your last people's witness?
Yes.
All right, so we will get to the defense case tomorrow.
Yeah, after that, we'll listen first. Yeah. Wait a minute, Your Honor, because I thought you made a ruling, and I changed my whole course at lunchtime, so now I have to unchange my course, so give me a minute, please.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready for the How much longer do you have under examination with the detective Flores? About, just rough, you know,
I
rough.
honestly think about an hour. I have this and then the search warrant and then be done. I have this meeting I want to talk to them about before we go back on the jury, so we're done in time.
I just need a second.
Go ahead. This is understood the protocols. Release phone calls to
This has was two large passing magazines. So what I'm going to suggest is you open it out, and you hear it goes to him, and he opens it. Excuse me. Your Honor, can I borrow your knife?
Just wait until he's, well, by the way, why do you have that knife? That's crazy much.
Never mind, I'll get out.
It was a gift. All right. Why do you look too bad? Have a look at
I've not
that.
had, I've never had it any.
All right. I put the back while you're letting him hear that.
You think I'm
That makes you, that feels
I'm
right.
not bad.
All right, good. Can I use the restaurant? I'll go for it. Oh, yeah, right. It's the choice out there.
Yeah, I heard about it.
I didn't see it. He was sitting there, his eyes fell
Do you know who it was?
No, I didn't see it, but I mystified.
No, who the lawyer was?
No, I think he's not a prosecutor.
But you don't know who it was?
No, I don't know.
I heard about that.
But it didn't look good. Just ran up to him. No interaction, no, just ran out and punched him.
Let me talk direct. Let's roll it. Yes, sir. Very good.
So right before the break, I played you the video of an individual returning to that intersection of Vista Del Mar and Selma after the shooting. And we talked about up until, when you collected that video, you initially believed that that was Mr. Efron, correct?
Correct.
And the last question posed to you was, as you sit here today with the information that you know from his text messages, comparing his clothing, a timestamp on the text message, on the photograph, are you still of the opinion, or do you still believe that that is Mr. Efron?
I don't.
Okay. There was a video clip played while Mr. Efron was testifying, which was a portion of an interview that you conducted with him in, I believe it was, I want to get the date wrong. One moment. So, it's from your interview with him on December 17th, 2021. Specifically on page 3, lines 14, 15, and 16, where Mr. Efron says to you, at this point you were showing him surveillance video, correct?
Correct.
And I believe, if you need to go back to the video to refresh your memory, we can, but I believe at that portion you were trying to cue up the video to show him. Does that sound accurate?
Correct.
And while he's sitting there, he says to you, and you see my girl, right? That was my girl I was with. You recall that?
Yes, I do.
At the moment that Mr. Efron said that, what was displaying on the video that he was looking at, or was he even looking at video at that exact moment?
I believe this is a secondary clip of the time period which we thought he had returned to pick up the casings, which was, I believe, 23:10 hours
But
on the day of the 6th.
Okay, you were there when he made those statements.
Correct. Yes.
Did you receive that as him pointing out that that's my girl on the clip, or did you receive that as him asking you the question, do you see her on there?
I took it as, do you see her?
Not that he was specifically pointing something out.
Correct.
Okay. Let's go back to the surveillance video. and I want to move on from this location number 2. Now continuing around Vista Del Mar to location number 3. Can you describe that location for the jury?
Yes, I think 3 and 4 were residential units that had cameras facing outward towards Vista Del Mar, in the portion kind of between the Bend and El Centro.
So I just want to clarify. You said number 4
Oh, I'm sorry.
was the loading dock, correct?
Yeah, 3 is has the 2 angles towards Vista Del Mar, and yeah, 4 is facing El Centro.
Okay. So 3 was a private residence that had cameras there, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall anything about the cameras, like where they were oriented, or?
They were oriented, pointed kind of at street level. It's an apartment or a unit that's on the ground, so they were kind of facing out at kind of eye level, or from the window at eye level.
Onto Vista Del Mar.
Onto Vista Del Mar.
Okay. And
from the inside.
let me pull up one of those camera angles and then ask you. There's your Hollywood Boulevard residence. And within that, there's 3 video files that are labeled, 3 files labeled camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. I'm going to focus on camera 2. The first video file in that folder is labeled 1A220214. So, detective, I have this paused very early in the video. I can't honestly read the timestamp, but it's got to be very close to the beginning, correct?
3 seconds.
Okay. All I want where this is paused is can you orient the jury to what we were looking at on this from this camera angle?
Yes, this street in front of us is Vista Del Mar as it comes around the bend from Selma. So the street comes up, and this is the bend that leads to El Centro on the far left. The building across the street is part of 1616 Vista Del Mar. They have the different angles viewed from Selma up through Vista Del Mar and then here on the bend on the way around.
And this camera specifically, camera 2 from this location that we're looking at, it has coverage that overlaps with one of the cameras on 1616 Vista Del Mar, correct?
Correct.
Last feature I want to ask, a couple features I want to ask about this. This camera, did it only capture video or did it also capture audio?
It also had audio.
All right. There's like a bluish tinge to the video. Do you have any idea what that is?
I believe there were some lights that the owner or occupant had on the inside that were kind of reflecting off the glass.
Okay. All right. I'm going to fast forward this to try to get it to. Okay. Actually, let me pull it down because it's easier for me to see the timestamp. We'll start it at 14:30 on the video player. And Your Honor, I believe with this video player, when it gets to the end of the clip, it will automatically start playing the next clip, which is 1A221716. If that makes sense. All right, I'm going to start playing from here. portion of the video that was played?
Two loud noises that, to me, appeared to be gunshots.
Followed by?
The sound of a horn after the first gunshot that set off like a vehicle alarm. That would be my best guess.
So when you say horn, you mean car alarm?
The car alarm.
Okay. Up to this point in the video, have you seen any people or any movement on the video itself?
No, not at the point of that the shots are heard.
Okay. I will continue to play it from here. Looks like it jumped away. Sorry. All right, detective, I'm going to pause it. Can you do me a favor and just read the timestamp?
The time in is 15 seconds.
Okay. And what have you seen on the video up to this point?
The sound of the appeared to be gunfire, followed by two individuals coming from the area just south of this, which is coming up from Selma and coming around the corner here in front of the camera, seconds after.
And would you agree with me there's two people that are depicted on the screen right now?
Yes, one after the other.
And which one's the first one that appeared?
The one in the black hoodie.
And then the second person?
The second one appeared to have a red jacket.
And were those individuals consistent with the individuals you saw from the 1616 Vista Del Mar address?
Yes.
All right. And which direction are they walking towards?
They are walking north to east towards El Centro.
Towards El Centro.
Correct.
All right. All right. Time on the video player?
Sure. It's 55 seconds in.
Okay, and that that last individual, or the individual that we see on the screen where it's paused here, can you describe that individual?
Yes, it appears to be the last individual from the prior video off of Vista Del Mar. The individual wearing a blue jacket and a blue hat.
Okay. And also walking towards which street?
Again, he's walking northbound Vista Del Mar to eastbound Vista Del Mar towards El Centro.
Okay. I'm going to read the second stipulation. Stipulation number 2, video surveillance from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard at private residence. LAPD Detective James King downloaded surveillance video with audio email from the homeowner of a residence at 6200 Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood. The residence was located on Vista Del Mar Avenue, west of El Centro Avenue. The video and audio were originally recorded between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. on November 6, 2021. The surveillance video contained in People's Exhibit 15 is a true and correct copy of that video. The video, date, and timestamp are accurate as to actual time.
Should I stipulate to that?
It is stipulated.
They're all signed stipulations, so do you need to agree on the record, or is it enough that it's a signed document?
It's all right, I think the jury's entitled to look at specific. Both sides stipulate to that.
Yes. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go back to People's 33. Now, so far, would you agree that those three individuals that we've been tracking have, in general, been following the red arrows starting at 1 and working their way towards number 3?
Yes.
All right. And then they continued on that path on Vista Del Mar, they would get to El Centro, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and I want to go to location number 4. So that was, you said earlier, was a loading dock.
Correct.
I'm going back to the folder in People's 15, Your Honor, labeled 6200 Hollywood Boulevard, in parentheses WNPM. I'm playing the video file that starts with .ext loading dock. Detective, where is that pause on the timestamp? Can you see?
7 minutes, 24 seconds in.
Can you go back just a little? Would you read the timestamp for us?
Yes, here on the lower left, it's 6 minutes, 39 seconds.
Okay, on the video player, that's correct?
Correct, on the video player here on the left. Right.
Okay. Can you orient the jury, as this is paused, what the features of the video are?
Yes, so this is the loading dock, which is facing El Centro here, which is the main street in front of it. To the right is the street here, where the pointer is. That's Vista Del Mar, where Vista Del Mar meets El Centro. So these individuals are coming in off of Vista Del Mar, walking northbound. The street up from this location is Hollywood Boulevard, which would be north. So we're looking at a kind of a southerly direction. They are walking northbound.
Okay. And I will keep playing. I'll play, this is a short clip, I'll just play it from here. Let's start with the man that you described with the black hoodie. I'll mark my next exhibit here.
36.
It's a document with 2 still images from the surveillance video side by side. Detective, showing you these 2 still images, do you recognize what you see here?
Yes.
Can you describe them for the jury?
Yes, the photo on the left is a still from the parking surveillance camera or the incident.
Hold on. You have water?
Yes, it is.
You want a,
I do.
you want a break?
I'm okay.
You think you're okay or you're okay?
I'm okay.
May you continue with the answer? Or we still want to?
Hold on, let me,
Fine.
okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Here's your number one.
Again, the photo on the left is a still from the first surveillance camera located at the parking kind of lot entrance. And the second is still off the camera from the loading dock on El Centro. So one on Argyle, one on El Centro. Kind of the start and the end of where we kind of started capturing video, kind of the last point where we captured video.
Okay. And Your Honor, I'm going to make 36, if I can go back, make it a 2-page document. So I'll make this first page that we just talked about, that I was referring to as 36, I'll make that 36A, and the second page will be 36B. With the court's permission?
Yes.
36B, I would describe it for the record as similar to 36A. It's 2 still images from the surveillance videos side by side, just displaying different features of the clothing on the left-hand side photograph. All right, Detective, do you recognize what you see here?
Yes, I
Can
do.
you describe it for the viewers?
Again, the first photograph is from the still from the parking entrance on Argyle, where the incident began. The second one is from the loading dock off of Central. Just looking at the similarities from my point of view, where obviously the specific design on the sweater, specifically the chest area between the first camera on Argyle and the second camera off of Central.
I'm going to mark 2 more exhibits, 37 and 38.
God damn, what's going on with this?
They are similar to 36, Your Honor, but 37 has side-by-side photographs depicting the man in the red jacket, and 38 has side-by-side photographs depicting the man in the blue jacket. All right, Detective, showing you equals 37. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yeah, yes.
Can you describe, we'll just describe this for the jury if you would.
Again, one's a screen capture from the surveillance camera off of Argyle, the parking lot entrance. The second one is a screen capture image from the loading dock entrance off of El Centro. Specifically looking at the red box that's outlined, where there's a kind of the right shoulder area of an individual wearing a jacket that is consistent with the individual off the second image off of Central.
Okay. And lastly, equals 38. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
And what's that?
Again, one photograph is from the camera off the parking lot entrance off Argyle. The second screen capture is off of one of the cameras off Vista Del Mar. I believe this is right off the turn, headed towards El Centro, and specifically between.
As the detective assigned to this case, or as the handling detective, were you aware of when the defendant, the man seated at the counsel's table with the jacket on, was arrested in this case?
Yes.
What date was that?
It was April 20th, 2022.
And where specifically was he when that arrest occurred?
It was at LAX, Los Angeles Airport.
Okay. That same day, did you search any locations?
Yes, we conducted a search pursuant to a search warrant of his residence.
Okay. And we have agreed to refer to that residence as his West Hollywood home, so we would not state the address, please. In order to conduct that search, did you obtain a search warrant?
Yes, we did.
And were you personally present when his West Hollywood home was searched on April 20, 2022?
Yes, I was there. I was present.
Would it be fair to describe that house as a relatively large house?
Yes.
How, in general, was the search of that house conducted?
It was conducted with a team of officers and detectives that assisted with the search, securing the location primarily first, and then going through each room and area systematically looking for specific items that we were searching for related to this case.
And did you say there was a team of people? Did you kind of split up the room so that one part of the team would search one room and another part would search another room?
Correct.
When anything of significance was located, what would be your involvement in that?
I was called over and the item was pointed out, and I was given information as far as what condition it was in or where it was originally seen.
During the search of his residence, were you alerted to multiple firearm-related items that were found in his house?
Yes, including things we were looking for and other things that we weren't, but anything substantial that they wanted me to look at, I went there and looked at. It wasn't necessarily everything that we seized.
But would it have been everything firearm-related?
Yes.
And if you can narrow it down to one room in the house, what room was the firearm-related evidence observed in?
It was what I would kind of describe as the master bedroom of the house belonging to Mr. Myers.
Okay. Did you observe any firearm-related evidence in any other rooms in the house?
No.
Let's start with the actual firearms. Did you observe any actual guns in his house?
Yes.
How many?
3.
And if you can describe for the jury, can you distinguish between the 3 of them or describe them each in a unique way?
Yes. One I would describe as a rifle, another as a shotgun, another as a handgun.
Okay. Paragraph 6 pages. If they may be marked as People's 39, A through F.
You want a break?
I'm okay.
You think you're okay or you're okay?
I'm okay.
May you continue with the answer? Or we still want to?
I mean,
Fine.
okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Here's your number 1.
Again, the photo on the left is a still from the first surveillance camera located at the parking kind of lot entrance. And the second is still off the camera from the loading dock of Central. So one on Argyle, the one on El Centro, kind of the start and the end of where we kind of started capturing video, and kind of the last point where we captured video.
Okay. And Your Honor, I'm going to make 36, if I can go back, make it a 2-page document. So I'll make this first page that we just talked about, that I was referring to as 36, I'll make that 36A, and the second page will be 36B. With the court's permission?
Yes.
36B, I would describe it for the record as similar to 36A. It's 2 still images from the surveillance video side by side, just displaying different features of the clothing on the left-hand side photograph. All right, Detective, do you recognize what you see here?
Yes, I do.
Can you describe it for the viewers?
Again, the first photograph is from the still from the parking entrance on Argyle, where the incident began. The second one is from the loading dock off of Central. Just looking at the similarities from my point of view, were obviously the specific design on the sweater, specifically the chest area between the first camera on Argyle and the second camera off the Central.
I'm going to mark 2 more exhibits, 37 and 38. They are similar to 36, Your Honor, but 37 has side-by-side photographs depicting the man in the red jacket, and 38 has side-by-side photographs depicting the man in the blue jacket. All right, Detective, showing you equals 37. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yeah, yes.
Can you describe, well, just describe it for the jury, if you would.
Again, one's a screen capture from the surveillance camera off of Argyle, the parking lot entrance. The second one is a loading dock entrance off of El Centro. Specifically looking at the red box that's outlined, there is a kind of the right shoulder area of an individual wearing a jacket that is consistent with the individual off the second image off of Centro.
Okay. And lastly, equals 38. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
And what's that?
Again, one photograph is from the camera off the parking lot entrance off Argyle. The second screen capture is off of one of the cameras on Vista Del Mar. I believe this is right off the turn, headed towards El Centro. And specifically between both photographs, I can see that it's the same individual based on the hat, the clothing, a lot of similarities that would give me my opinion would be that it's the same individual.
As the detective assigned to this case, or as the handling detective, were you aware of when the defendant, the man seated at the counsel's table with the jacket on, was arrested in this case?
Yes.
What date was that?
It was April 20th, 2022.
And where specifically was he when that arrest occurred?
It was at LAX, Los Angeles Airport.
Okay. That same day, did you search any locations?
Yes, we conducted a search pursuant to a search warrant of his residence.
Okay. And we have agreed to refer to that residence as his West Hollywood home. So if we would not state the address, please. In order to conduct that search, did you obtain a search warrant?
Yes, we did.
And were you personally present when his West Hollywood home was searched on April 20th, 2022?
Yes, I was there. I was present.
Would it be fair to describe that house as a relatively large house?
Yes.
How, in general, was the search of that house conducted?
It was conducted with a team of officers and detectives that assisted search, securing the location primarily first, and then going through each room and area systematically looking for specific items that we were searching for related to this case.
And when you say there was a team of people, did you kind of split up the room so that one part of the team would search one room and another part would search another room?
Correct.
When anything of significance was located, what would be your involvement at that point?
I was called over and the item was pointed out, and I was given information as far as what condition it was in or where it was originally seen.
During the search of his residence, were you alerted to multiple firearm-related items that were found in his house?
Yes, including things we were looking for and other things that we weren't, anything substantial that they wanted me to look at. I went there and looked at. It wasn't necessarily everything that we seized.
But would it have been everything firearm-related?
Yes.
And if you can narrow it down to one room in the house, what room was the firearm-related evidence observed in?
It was what I would kind of describe as the master bedroom of the house belonging to Mr. Myers.
Okay. Did you observe any firearm-related evidence in any other rooms in the house?
No.
Let's start with the actual firearms. Did you observe any actual guns in his house?
Yes.
How many?
3.
And if you can describe for the jury, how can you distinguish between the 3 of them or describe them each in a unique way?
Yes. One I would describe as a rifle, another as a shotgun, another as a handgun.
Okay. I have 6 pages. If they may be marked as People's 39, A through F. Let's start with People's 39A. Do you recognize the area that's depicted in this photograph?
Yes, I do.
And what would this be?
That is the angle of the master bedroom facing the bed.
Okay. Would you agree with this be the same room that you've been talking about where the firearms were specifically located?
Correct.
All right, we go to 39B. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes, that's a side table adjacent to the bed.
Okay. There's an item with a red rectangle around it just above that side table. Can you make out that item?
Yes.
What is that?
It's a handgun.
And would that be the handgun that you were describing earlier?
Yeah, I described it as a kind of large caliber handgun.
All right. Before we move on, there's another set of boxes or items at the lower left-hand corner with another red rectangle around them. What's that?
Correct. I believe that was the case where the rifle and shotgun were contained.
Okay.
Carrying case.
Let's start with the handgun. That item, would you agree it was directly behind, essentially like the headboard of the bed?
Yes, kind of behind the bed.
All right. I'll show you 39C. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
What is that?
That's the handgun. Again, I would describe it as a large caliber handgun.
Just a close-up of the same gun we just pointed out.
Correct.
Okay. Do you know what caliber handgun that was?
I believe it's a 44 caliber handgun.
Are you positive that it was not a 9mm handgun?
Yes.
Did you inspect the gun?
I saw it where it was, and as the detectives that found it located it came to me. I don't recall picking it up and handling it myself.
Did you inspect it enough to determine whether or not it was a real gun?
Yes.
Was it a real gun?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not it was loaded?
I do not know.
Is that a revolver or a semi-automatic?
That's a semi-automatic.
And is there a magazine for that handgun?
Yes.
Is it loaded? Is it shoved up inside of the grip?
From this angle, it looks like there is a magazine seated in the weapon.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move back over to People's 39B and focus on the items at the bottom left-hand corner. And for that, I'm going to display People's 39B. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
Just a better angle of those same outside boxes, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Go to 39E. What do you see there?
Yes, that's where you see the one case that's been opened. You can see inside, I believe that is the rifle.
And when you see that item, it's closer to the bottom of the page because there's two boxes here, correct?
Correct, there's two boxes. So I'm looking at the lower box here, specifically, it's kind of cracked.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Finally, it's over.
This is
Cracked open and you can see the inside. I can see the bottom end of what I believe is the rifle.
And did you inspect that gun close enough to know if it was a real gun or a fake gun?
Correct, yes.
And what was it?
It's a real gun.
And does that gun fire 9mm ammunition?
It does not.
Okay. And then lastly, 39F. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes, here on the right. So both cases are now open. The case on the right specifically, I can see the outline of the shotgun, also in addition to the shotgun shells in the carrier of the stock.
Let's see if I can get the glare off there. It's kind of hard to see. That was getting better. The shotgun you described as being on the right-hand side, correct?
Correct. Shotgun's here on the right, rifles on the left, and that's two separate cases.
Got it. Okay. And with the shotgun specifically, did you inspect it close enough to tell if it was a real gun or a fake gun?
Yes.
And what was
It's
it?
a real gun.
Okay. Will that gun shoot 9mm ammunition, the shotgun?
No.
Did you collect any of those guns?
No.
Why not?
They weren't part of what we were looking for pursuant to the search warrant.
And was that specifically 9mm caliber handgun?
9mm caliber weapons or the evidence of possession, purchase, anything related to a 9mm, specifically 9mm handgun.
Okay. Those three guns in that location, would that be where they were when you first observed them?
Yes.
In close proximity to the bed in the master bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to the 3 guns that we just talked about, was there any other firearm-related evidence that you were alerted to in his home?
Yes.
What was that?
A magazine, a 9mm magazine for a Glock 23, collected from a box in the master bedroom closet.
Now, I'm going to mark 2 more photos. Do 40A and B. Start with people's 40A. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
And just to orient the jurors, this white object on the left lower right corner, would that be the bed?
Yes, this is from the headboard view, the headboard looking towards the foot of the bed. On the right is the kind of walk-in closet. On the left is the kind of walk-in master suite bathroom. And then there's a sliding glass door here on the far left leading out to kind of a balcony.
Okay. Lastly, I'll go to 40B. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's a box containing ammunition, magazines for a rifle, and specifically
magazines
or a rifle.
Thank you.
Sorry. And in the center here, there's the magazine that was recovered, containing live ammunition, specifically 9mm ammunition.
In that photograph, underneath the magazines, it looks like there are a number of boxes. What are those boxes?
The boxes underneath are ammunition, I believe, that was consistent with the rifle that was in one of the cases.
Were any of those boxes consistent with 9mm ammunition?
No.
You said that magazine was for a 9mm handgun, correct?
Correct.
A smaller one?
Yes, I believe it's a Glock 43.
And was that 9mm magazine collected along with the ammunition that was loaded inside?
Yes, it was.
I have 2 envelopes here, Your Honor. In agreement with the defense, they are inner envelopes that were taken out of a larger outer envelope. Another item that was in the outer envelope is not being used, so it returns to detective, and we're just using the inner envelopes.
So that's part of 32? Or do you want to mark it separately?
I think I want to mark it separately, Your Honor, and I'll mark each of the envelopes separately just so we don't get them confused.
This one's going to be 41.
I'll mark the magazine as 41.
Business taxes was always so all-consuming. Now business taxes is having a TurboTax small business expert who handles your tax.
What's up, man? I see y'all deep in this motherfucker, man. What's up, huh? Hell y'all got going, huh? What's going on, huh? And I see y'all deep in here, though, man. That's what's up, man. What y'all got going on?
And I'll mark the ammunition as 42.
I was in this bitch watching Squid Games. I said, man, I finished it up. I said, fuck it. I might as well just finish this up, man.
These envelopes are open as The jurors will walk to you, Your Honor, so they are previously open. Detective, I'll approach first with, let me write it on the envelope so I don't forget the numbers. 41. Do you recognize that object?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's the magazine that was recovered. I'm showing that photograph on the screen.
In the master bedroom closet?
Correct.
Okay. Can you describe what that object is, or tell us the features of it? What's the brand of that object?
It's a Glock brand magazine, which has a capacity of 6 rounds that can be loaded. In a semi-automatic firearm, the rounds are loaded into the magazine. As you press them down, they're loaded to capacity. And then once the magazine is filled to whatever ammunition is available or to capacity, it's then seated inside of the weapon. The weapon is then charged to chamber a round into chamber. Takes the gun ready at that point.
Okay. And you specifically said this was for a Glock, correct?
Glock 43.
Okay. 9mm.
9mm.
And then People's 42 has, you want to count how many there are there?
There's 6 live rounds of ammunition for all 9mm.
Are they all the same make and model? Yeah.
Yes.
And what caliber are they?
9mm.
And what's the brand?
SIG Luger.
SIG, S-I-G, Luger, L-U-G-E-R. Okay. I'll put one of these on the screen. So first I'm going to put up People's 41. That's the magazine, correct?
Correct.
And then next to it I'll put one of the items from People's 42. That's the unfired bullet, correct?
Correct. That's a live round of 9mm.
Okay. And then on the bottom is where it says SIG 9mm Luger, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to put that back in envelope number 42, and I'll put the magazine back in envelope 41. Did you observe any guns in the defendant's home which would accept or utilize the magazine that been marked as People's 41?
No. None that I found, none that were pointed out to me or identified by anybody else in the search.
In your experience owning firearms, specifically with semi-automatic firearms, is it common that if you own a gun, you may possess multiple magazines for that firearm?
Yes. My experience, anytime I purchased a gun, semi-automatic specifically, it's come with more than just one magazine.
Based on your experience in law enforcement and with gun ownership specifically, are you aware of any purpose why someone would possess a single handgun magazine without also possessing a gun capable of accepting it?
Objection or close speculation.
Sustained.
During the entirety of the search at the defendant's home, did you personally observe any fake guns, prop guns, or starter guns?
I did not, and nothing to that description was pointed out to me or identified during the search.
During the search, did you observe any ammunition or a prop gun, a fake gun, or a starter gun?
No, I did not, and along the same lines, nothing was identified to me by any other member of the search team.
When it related to this case, were you first made aware that there was an allegation that the gun used at the scene was a prop gun, a fake gun, or a starter pistol?
Objection.
All right, hold on.
Objection. Well, when he was made aware.
Your Honor, overruled.
You can answer, Detective. So when related to this investigation was the first time that you were made aware of the allegation that the gun used at the scene was a prop gun, a fake gun, or a starter pistol?
Burning my leg.
Last Monday, which was the 20...
Why is he talking slow?
Calendar. It was Monday when I think you called to let me know, and I was made aware that that was what was.
We got fastest going though.
Say the Monday would have been around when jury selection started in this case, or was there already evidence being presented?
That was when right during jury selection.
Okay, around the 20th. Would that sound about right to you?
Yes.
Of January. Right. And we're talking about 2025.
2025.
I don't have anything else on here.
This would probably be a good time to take breaks. All right, folks, the clock has been adjusted, so the clock is now accurate. So let's break until 5 minutes to 3, at which time we will resume. Please don't discuss the case amongst yourselves and leave. Get the with ladder and take that.
Business located at 6200 Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood. The security office maintains security cameras on Argyle Avenue and on El Centro Avenue. The video was originally recorded between 10 p.m. on November 6, 2021 and 1 a.m. on November 7, 2021. The surveillance video contained People's Exhibit 15 is a true and correct copy of that video. The system, video, date, and timestamp are approximately 2 to 3 minutes faster than the actual time. You can stipulate.
So stipulate by the press?
Yes, sir. I've spoken before.
Yes,
That is.
we have.
You know, the witness stand when they're here in November of 2023, right?
Correct.
By the way, let's just start out where you finished off. We had some questions about when you personally were made aware of one of the issues raised by the defense of Mr. Mayor's being in possession of a prop gun, and you said it was fairly recently before the trial started, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Obviously, you never spoke to Mr. Mayor's from the day of the incident until today.
Correct.
All right. You never spoke to 12B from the day of the incident until today.
Correct.
All right. You never spoke to Blue 11 from the day of the incident, correct?
Correct.
All right. You certainly don't know what Mr. Mayor with Rocky has told his attorneys several years ago.
I'm not aware.
Oh. And of course, you know, there's no depositions in criminal cases, correct?
Correct.
All right. So basically what you're being asked are questions related to discovery and disclosure in a criminal case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. One second. All right, sir. So you were assigned to investigate this case, I think it was November 9th?
November 9th.
Of 2021, along with detectives Macho Man, correct?
Correct.
And you've been sitting here in court every day at the trial watching every witness?
For the most part, yes.
For the most part, yeah. And as the detective assigned to this case, you're familiar with all the police reports generated in connection with this case?
Yes.
And because police reports are relied on at hearings and trials like this one, as a case detective, you want to ensure that those reports are as complete and accurate as possible, right?
Yes, I mean, they are a summary of the information gathered, but there are other parts of the information that's gathered to go along with that, recordings, interview, stuff like that, but it's a summary.
Sure. But you want that summary to be as accurate as possible. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And as a case detective, you spoke with other officers with knowledge about this case as part of your investigation.
Yes, we did.
And obviously, for example, you reviewed and retrieved the video recordings pertaining to this incident.
Correct.
So what we talked about just seen, correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
16 is Del Mar, is one, right?
Yes.
6200 Hollywood, is it Hollywood Boulevard?
Yes.
Hollywood Boulevard is another? Yes, sir.
Correct.
And you retrieved the Vista Del Mar video on November 9th, 2021.
That's correct.
Okay, and the Hollywood Boulevard video, I think it was a few weeks later, November 18th,
I believe
2021.
that is correct.
Now, on November 8th, 2021, law enforcement received 2 9mm Luger shell casings from Mr. Efron.
Correct. Per the initial crime report, yes.
Yes. And those shell casings were submitted to the fingerprint analysis lab about 2 weeks later on November 21st, 2020.
I believe that's when they were tested, yes.
You're familiar that the fingerprints can typically be left behind on bullets when they're touched and loaded in a firearm, right?
There is always a possibility anything that's touched can leave a fingerprint trace behind.
It be
Yes, sir.
catching up with me. Love.
And the latent print lab, the
I got
latent
it.
print lab
I got
completed
it.
its fingerprint analysis of those 2 shell casings on November 23rd, 2020.
That sounds pretty far.
And after examining the casings provided by Mr. Efron, law enforcement lifted exactly 0 fingerprints off them, correct?
That's right. 0 prints with the.
So there were no fingerprints of anyone on those shell casings.
That's correct.
On April 20th of 2022, so we're fast forwarding a little bit, you secured a search warrant to obtain DNA swabs from Mr. Mayers.
Correct. That was included in the search warrant for that date that it was executed.
Right. And in order to obtain that search warrant, you swore to a judge that DNA from Mr. Mayers was clearly necessary for analysis for probable cause purposes as well as evidential purposes.
Yes, to include potential evidence that could be in custody or that could be collected at some point during the investigation. A comparison can be made. If any evidence that we have or collect along the way can be compared to.
Correct. And after getting the search warrant for Mr. Mayers' DNA, you took samples of his saliva on April 20th, 2022.
Yes, as part of that arrest, there were samples taken.
Right. And although you affirmed that DNA was clearly necessary as part of the case, law enforcement never submitted anything for DNA analysis in this case.
Correct. We didn't collect or have anything further to compare it to, at least to this point. Correct.
The alleged altercation between Mr. Efron and Mr. Mayers took place on November 6, 2021, around 10:17 p.m. This little altercation lasted about 25 seconds, that whole thing.
Roughly.
Roughly. According to you, based on your knowledge from the investigation and your review of the videos in this case, after leaving the scene of the altercation at around 10:17, Mr. Efron initially claimed he returned to the scene at around 11:09 p.m.
I object as to date, as to what he's talking about when Mr. Efron did this.
They don't address 11:09. Wait a minute.
Yes, sir. I'm not sure about the exact time, but I think he roughly said within an hour of the incident.
Would you agree it's somewhere around the events of that time, 11:09? Okay. Go to the plenary hearing on Drew's question and answer. I'll try not to be
I don't see it as being impeachment. Why don't you tell, just clarify what it was that.
Mr. Efron told you 52 minutes more later, he came back to the scene, correct?
I don't recall the exact time, but I do recall him saying roughly within an hour after the initial incident.
And you got that from watching the videos, correct?
On first review, yes, that's what I believe was consistent.
And I understand your testimony is now changed. You say you don't think it's him, but initially, you certainly thought that person you saw was him.
Yes.
At 11:09, right?
Yes, that was my belief.
Okay. And to you, at least, that was Mr. Efron in the videos.
That was my belief because it was consistent with the time frame that he provided.
Right. It was consistent with what Mr. Efron told law enforcement.
Correct. Within the hour estimate.
Okay. And that person, whoever that person was, Mr. Efron initially said it was him, you believe it was him initially, leaves the scene at 11:11 p.m., 2 minutes later.
Roughly.
Object, the first part of this question seems to back not minutes.
Back in evidence.
All right, stop. Read the question back to you.
And that person, whoever that person was, Mr. Efron initially said it was him. Let me read it again.
How do you approach it? I'm trying not to speak in objection.
I frankly don't remember what you said.
You weren't so comfortable. I'm not trying to mislead you. I'm just saying initially he said it was him. That's what my question was. I know now it's changed. Both of them said Efron in a second. But initially he said it was him. So whoever that person was, I started my question out with. Mr. Efron initially said it was him. Left the scene 2 minutes later.
What did he say?
I don't know if it's negligence or not. I can't remember every single.
You just said it.
I would change the objection to being argumentative. If he wants to ask, did that person leave within 2 minutes? I have no problem with that. But we don't need the argumentative part at the beginning of the question.
You're on. Hold on a second. I can do this easy. Did Mr. Efron initially say that was him?
I don't recall if he used those words exactly. I believe he made a comment that may have indicated that. But
Well, for instance, you were here when he testified at this trial.
correct.
Do you remember when he said at this trial from the jury that he was sure that was him?
Yes.
Okay. So, just a week ago, or a few days ago, Mr. Efron said that was him, correct?
Correct.
So whoever that person was, that person that Mr. Efron swore it was him to this jury initially, left 2 minutes later.
Roughly within 2 minutes, that person left.
Objection to the prompt? That's raised?
Yes.
And to be clear, you observed all the video footage that was recovered in this case.
Yes.
So if that is not, the new position is not Mr. Efron, at least you don't think it's Mr. Efron. Based on your testimony today, you have absolutely no video showing Mr. Efron ever returning to the scene, correct?
Correct.
Dope.
Now, amongst the video you reviewed in this case was a body cam footage, one by officers at the scene who responded to that night, correct?
Correct.
You watched that? Yes, sir?
Yes.
And you are aware, before Mr. Efron, or whoever that person was, returned to the scene 52 minutes later, law enforcement had arrived.
Yes.
And certainly before, if Mr. Efron returned to the scene, certainly before Mr. Efron returned to the scene, law enforcement had arrived.
Correct.
All right. And the police arrived at the scene about 18 minutes after the incident.
Yes, roughly.
Okay. And there were at least 7 officers there.
Yes.
And while they were at the scene of the incident, 18 minutes after it ended, these 7 officers were canvassing the area.
Yes. They are walking in and about the area of Selma and this is the one.
And you saw them on the video searching the area of the open
Yes. Adjacent parking lot. Yes.
Yeah. Using the flashlights,
Correct.
looking on the ground. You saw them.
Yes.
And you know this answer, you've been asking that way. You know law enforcement did not cover any cases in this case, correct?
Correct. The officer responded did not find or recover any cases.
No officers ever covered any shell cases.
No.
Right?
No. You're asking from the radio call, the officer that responded initially? No.
Yes. Or any other police officers cover any cases from the scene?
Only the officer at the front desk that who took the casings.
Yeah, no, my question was from the scene.
Okay. No, not from the scene. Okay.
In fact, they didn't locate any sign of shooting, correct?
Correct. Other than the radio call.
Right. But that's a call. And you heard Officer Zizzo testify, I think it's Sergeant Zizzo now. You heard him testify. A lot of people make calls or they can be just interpreting things correct. You heard that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of reasons. Sometimes people are just not, don't stick around after.
But in any event, you do agree that the officers who arrived 18 minutes later didn't locate any sign of shooting.
That's correct.
And despite that, as shown on the video, after the police left and Mr. Efron returned to the scene, he supposedly located the shell casings by himself without a flashlight within minutes.
I believe he said he used the light on his phone and he located it.
Within minutes.
Yes.
You were in this courtroom when Mr. Efron testified that this individual named 12B had a knife during this incident, right?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the summary investigative report related to this case dated August 5th, 2022, sir? Yes?
Yes, I am.
And that's a collective sort of prior statements and a summary of the investigation overall.
That is a specifically, that was a violent summary.
And that's what you use to file the case with the district attorney's office.
Correct.
Right. So obviously, in that report, you certainly wouldn't want there to be any accuracies, right?
Correct. It relates to the crime, yes. Correct.
That's what relates to the crime.
Yes, sir.
Your name is on that report, right, sir?
My name is on the report.
And what you wrote in the last line, the first page of this report, the collective statements, is that the victim observed Ulunga in ASAP Hills was armed with a knife. Did you write that?
I didn't author this report.
Okay. Is it in that report?
It is in that report.
Okay. So some police officer wrote that?
Yes.
Who? Do you know?
I believe that was my partner, Detective Clemens.
Where'd he go? He used to be there, right?
He was in the back of the property.
He's gone. But he was there. The guy was
Yeah,
there.
yeah, he's been there.
He's right. And it was brought to your attention during the preliminary hearing on November 20th, 2023, that this report said Mr. Efron identified ASAP Hills as the one armed with a knife. We discussed that preliminary hearing, sir.
Yes, sir.
And if you thought that that report was inaccurate, you certainly could have asked for that to be changed at any point, correct?
Yes, sir. I mean, but honestly, yes, that was a mistake. But the prior interviews that were recorded of Mr. Efron from the telephonic interview on the 9th and the in-person interview on December 17th, 2021, he was consistent on both interviews that the person with the knife was, in fact, quality. The report prepared for that August filing, there was an error, and it did indicate the wrong person. That is correct.
Well, as I just asked you, if you thought that report was inaccurate, you could have asked that to change, correct?
Yes.
I'm not.
No, I mean, I answered the
I'm
question.
sorry.
I mean, the record, I think,
I'm not.
captured through the interviews is clear what Mr. Efron said versus what our mistake was.
Did you change the report?
No, we did not generate another report to correct. Correct.
So,
Your body about to
your
shut
office last
down.
Tuesday,
It all
Mr. Efron testified on the record that he saw a knife being held after Rocky put the alleged gun away, correct?
Correct.
All right. And with regard to the knife, Mr. Efron told police in November of 2021 that he saw the knife being held while Rocky was pointing the alleged gun at him, and he was yelling at Rocky, right?
Correct. I believe that's the way it was described in that crime report.
So while Rocky's holding the alleged gun at him and pointing it at him, he's seeing a knife simultaneously.
You've seen it during that event, correct?
Not doing that event. While the gun is being pointed at him, correct?
That's the way it's described in the report, yes, sir.
You also heard Mr. Efron's testimony last Tuesday, January 28th, that he saw the knife being put away, and he then said, "What the F you got a knife for?" Remember that testimony last week?
Yes, sir.
And in November of 2021, Mr. Efron told the police that only after he said, "Why you got a knife?" did that knife get put away. Recall that?
I don't recall that specifically, sir.
I'll show you a report.
Okay.
It's 77 in our database. It's a please follow the investigation report from November 9th, 2020.
Object. Sustained. The objection is sustained.
What was it? Counselor?
It's improper because it wasn't his report.
This is not the proper person to either refute or confirm what Relly Efron told some other officer. So the objection is sustained. One second.
Okay, all right, move on. Anyway, you saw an arrest warrant on Mr. Mayers on April 13th, 2022.
Correct, that's the date it was signed.
And to be clear, law enforcement received Mr. Efron's complaint 5 months earlier, November 8th, 2021.
When we received it, it would have been the 9th. It was, the initial report was taken on the 8th, correct?
8th or the 9th, whatever. 9th of November 2021. You guys, PD, like the station house guy, November 8th, right?
Correct.
On that same day, law enforcement received, November 8th, 2 9mm Ruger casings from Mr. Efron.
Correct.
The next day, you along with Detective Camacho and we spoke to Mr. Efron again at Len.
Yes, telephonic interview.
By the way, that same day, November 9th, Mr. Efron told you he decided not to become involved in Rocky's music business any longer. You saying that?
I believe the statement's the last thing.
And also on November 9th, 2021, law enforcement received surveillance video pertaining to the incident from 1616 East Del Mar
Correct.
and Hollywood Boulevard on November 18th.
Yes.
6200. Yeah.
Correct.
And on November 10th, 2021, law enforcement obtained authorization to search T-Mobile information for Elijah Lungo or ASAP Hill's phone number.
Correct, research warrant approved.
Sorry.
Yes.
And specifically, the T-Mobile information law enforcement obtained authorized to search Elijah Lungo, ASAP Hill's, his call detail records, and his GPS location.
Correct.
And the GPS location data, I should say.
Yes.
And those records, the GPS location data that you all were able to obtain, show that Elijah Lunga, ASAP Bill's cell phone, was near Selma Avenue and Vista Del Mar approximately 10:12 p.m. on November 6th.
I believe that's correct.
And those records also show that Bill's, I'm just going to refer to Bill's so far, so move this along a little bit. ASAP Bill's cell phone was near Mr. Mayor's residence at 11:11 p.m. That's later that night.
Yes, so it's called the afternoon.
In addition to law enforcement gaining access, by the way, you also gained access to Mr. Efron's cell phone, correct?
Subsequent to his arrest, the physical phone, yes.
Yes.
No.
No, Mr. Efron.
Oh, I'm sorry. Correct. He did, voluntarily.
Right. That was in November 2020.
Yes.
Correct. So you had access to his phone.
Yes, we did.
By the way, did he mention that he had deleted any messages before you had that phone?
I don't remember asking him specifically if he had.
Or did he volunteer?
I don't recall him as a volunteer.
Particularly with the guy who was making the complaint about this guy, ASAP Rocky. Did he mention that he had deleted messages between him?
Correct. Nothing was volunteered as far as that.
And you wouldn't know to ask that, obviously, right?
He was cooperative and provided his phone.
You wouldn't know to ask that, he said.
I wouldn't know. Right.
And the information on that phone contained Mr. Efron's communications, as far as you knew, with Mr. Mayers, with Bills, and 12.
Correct.
And as of November 2021, law enforcement had Mr. Efron's statement, 1, correct?
Correct.
Cell phone records, 2, yes.
I believe so, by that.
Video of the incident.
Some of it is correct.
Well, which video did you not have by the end of November 2021?
The end of November, correct. I actually remember 17 at that point.
No. So, because the last video you got on November 8th, right?
Correct.
So let's again. In the month of November 2021, you the collective police officers and law enforcement,
correct,
had Mr. Efron's statement. Yes.
Yes, sir.
You had cell phone records in this case.
Yes.
You had video of the incident.
Correct.
And you had 2 shell cases provided by Mr. Efron.
Correct.
But you still waited another 5 months until April of 2022 to arrest Mr. Mayers.
Yes, I mean, there were other factors involved.
Yes or yes?
Yes.
And during those 5 months, from November 2021 until Mr. Mayer's arrest in April of 2022, law enforcement recovered nothing else, no additional evidence to use against Mr. Mayers, correct?
Correct.
In fact, during those 5 months, law enforcement never contacted 12E, never tried to find 12E or contacted him, correct?
No, we were able to contact him.
Able? Did you try?
No, I'm sorry. At that point, no.
Okay. And you understood that 12E was present during the incident, obviously?
Correct. We understood they were present, they were all appointed.
Now, obviously, you would be an important potential witness in this case.
Could be.
Who's that? Right?
Yes, sir.
And you testified as the case detective, it's your job to look at all relevant information, right?
Correct.
So to be clear, you arrested Mr. Mayers without even trying to speak to 12E.
Sustained.
Let's now move over to the house search that you conducted, okay? So this was on April 21st, you conducted the extensive search of Mr. Mayers' residence, correct?
Yes, April 20, 2022.
And during the search, aside from what we all saw, and we'll get into that when we ask you about those things, you also saw boxes in his residence, right?
I'm sorry?
Boxes, like cardboard boxes.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to show you a picture of these things. You want to, I guess, we'll identify them as we go through the exhibit to each one.
Oh, these are not marked.
Correct.
All right, your next exhibit is W is in William.
Is it easier for you to see back there, or is it just we have it?
It's easier to see.
Okay, so you can turn around. This is W drawing?
Yes, W.
Okay. That's one of the photos you see. Things packed in cardboard boxes there.
Correct.
Did you learn whether or not Mr. Mayers was in the process of removal at this point?
I was not aware that he was in the process.
How about the next one is? That would be defense.
X, as an X-ray.
You see those boxes there?
Yes, I do.
By the way, can I go back to the last photo, the W, I think? Those cardboard boxes that you see in this photo, did you search those?
The closed boxes, no.
I'm going to just refer. I know you said on this. Those boxes.
Correct.
Oh, closed boxes.
Yes,
Oh, I
sealed
think you said
boxes.
closed. Okay, closed. closed boxes, sealed. Okay. So you did not search those?
No.
Okay. Next, please. No. The other lessons. Okay, this one too. Did you search any of those bags or boxes there?
I don't recall going through them myself. I know the rooms that were gone through.
I'm sorry?
I did not go through that room myself. I don't recall going through that room. But I know each room was searched by part of the team.
Okay. So, if that room was searched and those boxes were searched, would there be a report on that?
If there was anything, again, found relative to the investigation, items that we were highlighted or listed, yes.
Well, you agree that those sealed boxes obviously weren't searched, right?
Correct.
All right. The next one, please, which will be defense.
Why, as in young?
Wise and young. Same thing here, Wise and young, as well as when that box wasn't searched right there, correct?
Correct.
All right. Next.
C's and zebra.
C's and zebra. Those suitcases, were they opened and searched, do you know?
I don't recall specifically from my memory.
Next.
AA. Adam.
AA. Same question.
Correct.
Sealed boxes were not opened and searched, correct?
Correct.
Is that it?
One more.
One more.
BB.
There's a lot of stuff going on. I got to come up with a lot of colors and a lot of things there, but any of these sealed boxes that you see in the photo there?
No, sir.
They were not searched. And during the search, law enforcement did not recover a 9mm firearm, correct?
That's correct.
You did recover a Glock 9mm magazine,
That's correct.
and it was full, correct?
Yes, it was to capacity, 6
Right.
rounds.
Did you ever take the prints off of that magazine?
No.
You ever printed that magazine?
No.
You're capable of doing that, correct?
Yes, sir. Since it came from his bedroom, I didn't have it processed.
Okay. And there were 6 Sig Luger 9mm cartridges, right?
In the magazine?
Yeah,
Yes.
in the magazine, right? The 9mm cartridges were not loose or anything,
No.
inside that magazine. And that 9mm magazine, those 6 cartridges in the box, they were found in the box containing other magazines and other cartridges that were not 9mm.
That's correct.
We showed the pictures of the 2. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you real quickly something the jury's already seen, but you may have seen it too then. Just the pictures of the 2 shell cases recovered by Mr. Efron and the 6 shell cases recovered inside the magazine.
Okay.
So the ones on the left there are 6C. You see those?
This is the defense exhibit?
It is, right?
Okay, this is
You
going
want
to be CC, Charlie.
You want this one? Okay, CC, right. So the ones on the left, right there, so yes, those are the Sig Luger 9mm cartridges?
Yes, these are the live rounds that were recovered from the magazine that contained in the magazine.
Okay. And those are different cartridges, obviously. The brand of the one on the right is what's called FC or Federal.
Yeah, FC Luger.
Right.
On the right are the spent casings.
Right. And SIG is the other one.
And the live rounds are SIG. I'm sorry. SIG.
6 Sauer?
6 Sauer Luger.
Okay, thanks. Okay. You also recovered was 2 rifle magazines as well.
Correct.
As part of your investigation, you learned that Mr. Mayers was licensed to possess firearms. As part of your investigation, did you learn whether or not Mr. Mayers was licensed to carry firearms?
Objection, calls for yes or no.
Nothing I can confirm, but I heard he did.
You did, okay. And those 2,
Anything after nothing I could confirm as being non-responsive.
Sustain, the answer's true.
and
Calls for yes.
the 2, the one gun, the what was it called? You know the name of that 44 Magnum? Desert Eagle. Desert Eagle. Desert Eagle. That was Mr. Mayers. That was registered to Mr. Mayers.
Correct.
Right, registered to Mr. Mayers.
Yes.
Object is again, false or hearsay.
Overruled.
And the rifle was also registered to Mr. Mayers.
Second objection.
Overruled. That's right.
Okay. Meaning legally registered to him, correct?
Yes, all those weapons are registered.
And the other weapon, gun, whatever you call it, that was recovered was the shotgun.
It was shot.
And that was registered to an individual named Lou Levin.
I don't remember who specifically was registered to, but it was a legal.
It was a legal weapon.
Correct.
Also, all three were legal weapons.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, that shotgun was given back to its rightful owner before he left the scene, correct?
I don't recall that Mr. Levin took it. That's just my recollection.
Okay, it's okay. Well, what would refresh your recollection?
I don't know if his name, obviously Mr. Levin took possession of the house when he left. He took charge of the house, so what he removed after that, I'm not aware.
Okay. I'm talking about what he removed. I'm talking about what you removed. You removed the two guns registered to Mr. Mavis, correct?
No.
You saying you left them in the house?
Yes.
You sure about that?
Yes.
So you left those two, the Magnum and the rifle in the house?
Yes.
And obviously the shotgun you left there as well?
Yes, those are all legal weapons. And
All legal
not part of what our search warrant encounters.
Okay. Okay. By the way, you never asked Mr. Efron if he had firearms back in November of 2021, did you?
I don't recall asking him. I do recall making inquiries as far as runs or checks. And I don't recall finding any guns registered to him during that period of time.
We're on the read for preliminary hearing, page 271, lines 2 to 4.
What purpose is this for?
Impeachment, you just say don't pull that.
It would be, it's not impeachment, it's a refresher.
Okay,
Just volume 1 or volume 2? What's the page?
Page 271, Your Honor, lines 2 to 4.
You just take the floor to testify?
Sorry, yes, of course.
What lines?
2 to 4.
Fair game. It's fair game.
Okay,
No.
You were asked by the...
Follow it up if you want.
Did you ever ask Mr. Efron if he had firearms back in 2021? Answer, not specifically. Now, you were here the other day when it was revealed that Mr. Efron was on a firing range in Los Angeles in October, late October 2021, correct?
Correct.
By the way, the search of the house had 21 officers, more or less.
More or less.
When you spoke to Mr. Efron on November 9th, 2021, Mr. Efron told you that he believed he was grazed on his left hand knuckle area.
Object seems facts and on evidence. I'm not talking about anything.
I'm sorry? He did not lie?
You have to inquire whether he said that. You're saying when the detective spoke to him, it assumes that that's what Efron said. So ask him if Efron said that.
Okay, this is short.
I know.
Okay. So on November 9th, 2021, did Mr. Efron tell you that he believed he was grazed on his left knuckle area?
Yes.
And despite supposedly being grazed by a bullet on November 6, 2021, Mr. Efron did not seek medical attention until returning to New York.
That's my understanding, yes.
And even though Mr. Efron waited to fly across country to receive medical treatment, obviously there are hospitals in Los Angeles that could have treated him, his injury, whatever it was.
Yes, sir.
The fact is, Mr. Efron only went to the hospital after Detective Menifee on November 9, 2021, during a phone call, told him that he needs to go get medical attention or medically treated because of the type of case that this is, correct?
Objection, calls for speculation.
Okay, Your Honor, there's tape in evidence that I'll play a portion of. You have to
I would object to hearsay.
in evidence.
The jury's already heard. So
It's in evidence.
technically, it is hearsay. Go on to something else. The jury's already heard it. You can play it in final argument.
Okay, did you hear it? Did you hear it?
I remember the comment. I can remember that line of questioning, and I think I made a comment prior to that as well.
Okay.
And I think in the context that he was making a comment about his injury, and I think I also suggested he should get it looked at, and I think that's when Detective Menifee also made her statement.
Her statement was that he needs to go get medically treated because of the type of case that this is, correct?
I believe that's the context.
And with regard to his statements, Mr. Efron first reported this incident to the police, again, just to be clear, 2 days later, November 8, 2021.
Correct.
He didn't call 911.
No,
He didn't go to the police on November 6, 2021.
that's correct.
Waited 2 days before reporting to law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
And when he did finally walk to a police station in Los Angeles to report to law enforcement, he did so in person with his attorney, Brian Hurwitz.
Yes.
And you were here last week when Mr. Efron testified on cross-examination that he did not recall telling law enforcement that he told an attorney, Brian Hurwitz, who told him to retrieve the shell casings from the scene. Were you here, sir?
Object is irrelevant.
Were you here when he said that?
I believe I was.
But when Mr. Efron reported the incident to the police, he did, in fact, make that claim. Correct? He told the police that after the alleged shooting, he called attorney Brian Hurwitz, and that Mr. Hurwitz told him to return to the scene of the altercation and retrieve the shell casings. Do you remember that?
Vague as to what he's talking about. Vague.
Read it back, please.
But when Mr. Efron reported the incident to the police, he did in fact make that claim, correct? He told the police that after the alleged shooting, he called attorney Brian Horowitz, and that Mr. Horowitz told him to return to the scene of the altercation and retrieve the shell casings.
What's the legal name?
Vague. He's saying
It is.
to the police.
It is.
He told you that Brian Hurwitz, his attorney, instructed him to return to the scene to retrieve the shell casings. Correct?
I'm trying to recall the exact context. I know he made several calls and he was given advice to go back. I don't remember the sequence of phone calls with Mr. Horowitz.
Okay, let me see if I can refresh your recollection. I'm going to show you your report. Okay. 75 is the August 5th, 2022.
Is this the first page?
Second page.
So weird.
Yeah. Wait, 1 second. I don't see this.
I'm going to object as to we approach.
Anything can be used to refresh recollection.
Your Honor, you've already ruled on this. That's my issue. I don't want to do a speaking objection. You don't mind? Can we just wait for the approach?
Yes.
having read that, does it refresh your recollection that Mr. Efron mentioned that he was told by his attorney to return to the scene of the altercation and retrieve the gun case?
Yes, Your Honor. That's not what that even says, Your Honor. And the court read it.
You want to read verbatim? You just said yes, first of all. That's exactly
The answer yes?
The answer is yes.
Go on, subject. The objection's overruled.
Okay. You and Detective Manfrey eventually interviewed Mr. Efron's attorney, Brian Hurwitz, on March 22nd.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
In any event, law enforcement secured Mr. Efron's home records from the night of the incident, November 6, 2021.
Correct.
And the incident happened at 10:17 p.m. That's I think we established 25 seconds, more or less. Sir?
Yes, roughly from one incident to the second incident to the end.
And as you said, Mr. Efron, an individual returned to the scene at 11:09, correct?
Correct. Based on the video camera.
Based on the video camera. And you'd agree, by the way, that Mr. Efron's phone records do not show a single call between him and Brian Hurwitz between 10:17 and 11:09.
Not that I recall, no, sir.
And in fact, Mr. Hurwitz's phone number, which in the report, I'm not going to say it out loud here, appears in Mr. Efron's phone records on November 10th, 2021 at 12:19 p.m. LA time.
I'm not sure about the exact date, Mr. Jack.
So,
I'm not exactly sure about the date and time of that first call with Mr. Hurwitz on that line.
okay. You want to stick with it, and show the report? Other time.
I want to do it.
I'll do the report 105, please. Yes, just see if I can speed this along. Do you remember, in search of Mr. Efron's phone records, there not being a call to Mr. Hurwitz until a few days later?
I recall some point after. Yes. Correct.
All right, that's fine.
At least directly, that show up directly.
Right. But certainly not on November 6th, going into the morning of November 7th.
Again, nothing directly.
Directly as opposed to indirectly.
A three-way call, somebody, three-way call, anything like that.
Did you see any indication of three-way call on this phone records?
I don't know that it would necessarily reflect three-way calls, just the direct call to somebody. But again, not that I'm aware of until after.
Well, did you see any calls between the time of the 10:17 and 11:09, for example, Mr. Efron's phone?
I don't recall seeing any calls between that time.
As detective, you agree, when conducting an investigation of an alleged shooting, you wouldn't want anyone who's not law enforcement moving evidence or taking evidence from the scene, right?
Correct.
Because that could tamper with and hinder your investigation.
It can.
Now, you interviewed Mr. Efron's girlfriend, correct?
Correct.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
You never took Ms. Parker's phone?
No.
Okay. So therefore, obviously, you never examined it to see what texts or calls have been made from it.
Not from her phone, physically, no.
You said you saw the videos in this case?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes.
You never saw a video with Ms. Parker returning to the scene?
None that were collected, no.
And I want to ask a question, but I'm not one of our court's ruling, and it's a question that would be prejudicial to them if I asked it and you.
All right, why don't you come on up, off the record, let me know what it is.
Yeah. You saw that, I think we discussed, I don't know if Mr. Basola played for you, but the in-person interview with Mr. Efron in December of 2021, where you showed the video of what was initially him returning to the scene. You saw that here?
Correct.
Okay. And when he was watching the video, he said initially that was him, correct?
Yes, that's what, I mean, he indicated by the form of the question. You're talking about the interview on December 17th?
The interview on December 17th regarding the person returning at 11:09.
Correct.
Yes, that was it, right?
That was, again, what he was indicating in the form of his questioning.
You heard Mr. Efron's testimony regarding that and the evolution of that belief. He first testified before the jury that that was him. Mr. Brazil asked him, he was sure that that was him. You recall that, and then he subsequently changed to that time. It's not argument. That's the same time.
Sustain to the word evolution.
Changed? Changed, which I thought was a synonym for evolution, changed into it wasn't. You saw that testimony?
Yes.
Okay. And you heard Mr. Efron say his girlfriend was there, but he then said maybe she was in the parking lot. You remember him saying that?
Correct.
Meaning that may be the reason why she's not on video?
Correct.
Okay. And then Mr. Brazil asked him about the clothes being different, like he did with you just now. Do you remember what Mr. Parker initially, Mr. Efron initially said?
Objection relevance and hearsay.
He was just asked on the record.
I don't recall his exact response.
Do you remember him saying, I'm sure that was me, but I probably went and changed my clothes? Do you remember testifying to that?
I'm sorry, I didn't see.
Okay, it's okay. During your in-person interview with Mr. Efron on December 2021, you asked him why he continued to follow Mr. Mayor's even though he had a gun, right?
Yes.
Because according to you, you told him that would seem to be an odd thing to do.
Yes.
Okay. And when you asked him that, why did he continue to follow Mr. Mayers after seeing a gun? Mr. Efron couldn't give you a clear answer. What he said was, I don't know why.
The first part of the question is argumentative. Excuse me. The first part of the question is argumentative. The second part is not.
Oh.
Read the question back.
What was just on that one?
When you asked him that, why did he continue to follow Mr. Mayers after seeing that? Mr. Efron couldn't give you a clear answer. What he said.
That part.
That part about Efron couldn't give a
You get what I was saying?
Ask the question again.
I'm going to ask it again. When you asked Mr. Efron, why did he continue to follow Mr. Mayers after seeing a gun, what he said was he didn't know why.
Correct.
With respect to the video recovered in this case, which you've seen the image of Mr. Mayers holding an object, which according to you appears to be a gun, you'd agree, without having that object, you cannot help that it's not a gun, correct?
On the first incident?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
On the video where you see Mr. Mayers holding what appears to be a gun?
Correct. On the parking structure of the first video camera? Yes.
Right.
I mean, without anything else appearing on the video other than him holding what I believe to be a handgun, I cannot determine whether or not that's an operational gun or a gun. Correct.
And with regard to the video incident, after reviewing the footage captured from 16 Vista Del Mar, that law enforcement prepared a document entitled Video Download Information and Summary. Remember that?
Yes.
And in that document, law enforcement described what it could observe in the footage. Which one? Here's it. Here's it. You prepared a document describing what you could observe in the video footage, correct?
Correct. Notes that kind of detail what specifically can timestamp at certain points of different angles, angle for angle, and then obviously looking at everything collectively from all the angles together.
And, for example, what you saw appeared to be a struggle on the street at 2217.
Correct.
Specifically, what that video shows is Mr. Efron apparently struggling with bills, case bills.
Yes.
And you also detailed approximate distances observed within the video, right?
Roughly.
And you listed various times of various events seen on the video.
Correct.
You described that as a subject, you described that a subject was in a dark colored jacket or sweater.
Correct.
In preparing the report, obviously you want to document anything that you observed on the video which was considered important with respect to the case.
Yeah, just give a rough timestamp of what the events took place, and then give it a holistic view at the end of which we will get all the pieces together and tell the story.
But in the report, you didn't want to leave anything important out.
Well, again, these are just notes to mark timestamps. So, yes, what I thought was important relative to that frame.
And clearly, as part of the investigation you did before us, if a gun or a shooting were observed on the video from 1616 Vista Del Mar, that's something you would have documented in your summary, correct?
Again, sir, it's collectively. I mean, that's part of A, where the incident began, where we observed the gun. B, where the struggle took place, and you can see various individuals running in different directions. And then as we move up, collectively, we see the next video with sound, where we can hear the gunshots. I mean, it's collectively not just one piece.
Okay, so let me just make sure I understood that question.
Okay.
Again.
Sorry.
It's okay. We started right. Clearly, as part of the investigation, if a gun or a shooting were observed on the video from 1616 BC Del Mar, that's something you would have documented in a summary. Yes?
Yes.
That's it. But that summary that you have, by the way, certainly does not document that a shooting was observed, right?
I mean, not from that angle. It's documented what can actually be observed from that angle, which is, I mean, the view is fuzzy. It gives you an overview of the motion that's going on. But again, pieced together with everything else is.
But that document, that summary, does not document that a shooting was observed, right?
Correct. It does not.
In fact, that summary does not even document that a gun was observed in the video from 1616 BC Del Mar.
Correct. That first angle, correct.
So you agree there's, in the video, from the video, there's no evidence in the video from 1616 BC Del Mar that an actual gun was being discharged, correct?
Judge, relevance and video speaks for itself.
Nothing that I could observe in detail that I can see as a gun. Again, it's in frame with everything else, maybe.
Well, here's my question.
Correct.
These are, my questions.
All right.
Almost done. You'd agree, from the 1616 BC Del Mar video, that's that video, the one that shows the whole struggle and all the fuzzy stuff, right? You'd agree that there is no evidence from that video of an actual gun being discharged, correct?
Correct. From that view by itself, no.
The sequence surveillance video that you put together overlaps video from the 1616 BC Del Mar video with the audio from the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video.
Correct.
All right. And that's the People's Exhibit 15? 15? Okay. And you did that, right? You basically overlapped the video from 1616 BC Del Mar that had no audio, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the audio from 6200 Hollywood.
Correct.
And you put it together. And you agree that the 1616 BC Del Mar video, you just said this doesn't have any sound, but the video from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard does.
That's correct.
So you overlapped the videos from each location, trying to show when the shot would have occurred during the 1616 BC Del Mar video.
Correct.
Okay. Of course, if the overlap is off, even by a fraction of a second, the shot would not have occurred during the precise moment shown on the overlap 1616 BC Del Mar video, correct?
Correct.
And with regard to the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video, you extracted 3 sets of videos from 3 different cameras maintained by the business at that location.
Correct.
And it's been stipulated, you heard of that, if you agreed on something. It's been agreed that the date and timestamp on the 3 cameras from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard are approximately 2 to 3 minutes faster than actual time.
That's correct.
And the reason the cameras are approximately 2 to 3 minutes faster than actual time instead of the exact amount is because each camera is off from an actual time by a different amount.
Yes, sir. I mean, it's not unusual when we collect video.
Yes, it's unusual. Okay. I'm saying the reason that you're using a range of 2 to 3 minutes as opposed to 2 minutes and 4 seconds is because each of those cameras is off from actual time by a different amount.
Yes.
For instance, on camera 1, you hear the first shot at 10, 15, 53 seconds. And hold on before we play it. We have to mark this. This is a defense exhibit.
Your Honor, check this. This states the stipulation.
Well, that's what? What's there?
He's saying the video from 6200 Hollywood was off by 2 to 3 minutes. He's talking about the business, the parking lot entrance, and the
Why don't you two confer? If I don't need to get involved, I don't want to get involved.
So that's what I'm saying.
That was easy. That, yeah, all that. That was easy. I was knocked out.
The one that's off 2 to 3 minutes is this one.
Yes.
Go ahead and end this video right here, man. Y'all go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you have a blessed one. See y'all on the next video.